Coming up on episode 96 of the Upful Life podcast.
And, at the same time, I've got a lot to be grateful and look forward to and thankful for. I've got a great band that's my creative outlet that I didn't want to, have to split my time or whatever. Obviously, that could have been a really awesome thing in a lot of ways. I just had 2 babies, so I have that to focus on and be grateful for. And thank you. I don't have time to be too upset or cry about the Primus thing because those 2 babies are already crying. So
it's incredible, man. I mean, our drummer got to audition with one of our favorite bands, our heroes. We had his back 100%. I would have loved it. Well, yeah, Yheti is a producer that Luke got us into. I think he discovered him on SoundCloud years ago, and we just love his shit. It is very forward-thinking, not afraid to be a little wacky, but also really intricately sound design, like expert sub-bass trap beats. And we've been, listening to him for years, and finally got him out to the studio. He came to our space in upstate New York for about 2 weeks, and we improvised. We played in the style of funk or acid jazz, or, he had this whole structure where he said, now we're going to do 5 funk jams, or now we're going to do 10 dub jams. Everything we did was in one key, E minor. So now he can take those thousands of wave files we recorded and chop them and screw them and rearrange them.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
So I wanted the concept to be sort of this like liminal space between a human and a robot, like a robot starting to feel real emotions and realizing they're a human, or a human forgetting that they're a human and becoming a robot, and the sort of space between that, which is where the term liminoid comes from.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
And I think you just need to maintain a good attitude and adaptable about it. And, I thankfully I get to play with like lifelong friends. And I think we've always just kind of had an attitude of like, it's just a cosmic joke and that we're all kind of in on it. Not to say that we don't take it seriously, but you need to see the humor and like the joy in it. And I think at the end of the day, we still do that.
Yes, indeedy. Welcome to the Upful Life podcast. I'm your host, B. Getz, and this is episode number 96, coming at you live and direct from the Vibe Junkie Studios here in Oakland, California. Class of 96, back in the mix. Let's do it. And I am so grateful you are tuning in.
Hey music lovers, this is Nicole, the owner of Four Peaks Medicinals, your women-owned Northern California mushroom wellness brand. We craft a variety of high-quality, locally sourced mushroom products that bring wellness to your daily jam. And we're thrilled to announce we're not just about mushrooms, we're about music too. Four Peaks Medicinals is one of the exclusive sponsors of Golden Road Gathering, May 15th through the 17th in Placerville, California, and the official wellness partner at High Sierra Music Festival, July 2nd through the 5th in Grass Valley, California. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Four Peaks Medicinals, that's 4, spelled F-O-U-R, or check out our website, fourpeaksmedicinals.net. Join us for sips, samples, and wellness vibes. Let's adventure into wellness, one festival at a time. See you there.
Yes, indeedy. Want to shout out the Golden Road Gathering. Awesome festival returning to the El Dorado County Fairgrounds, May 15 to 17. That's in Placerville, California, just north of the Bay Area. They've been doing it and doing it well at those fairgrounds, going back to many years with the Hangtown Halloween Ball numerous other events. This year's Golden Road Gathering looks fantastic. 3 days in beautiful NorCal. Headliners include Friday, Lettuce, Saturday, Soundtribe Sector 9, Sunday, Leftover Salmon, plus 2 appearances from episode 96 guests lespecial, Friends of the Pod, Charlie Tuna and Cut Chemist, Polish Ambassador, High Step Society, so many others. Go to goldenroadgathering.com for more information and tickets. Check out the full lineup. Can't wait. May 15 to 17, Golden Road Gathering in El Dorado County Fairgrounds. We'll see you there. Yes, indeedy. And we're back. Upful Life, episode 96. That's a little bit of Echt, live and direct from Brussels, live in the park, several months back. We love Echt. We'll talk a little Echt later in this episode. But first, please, rate and review, like and subscribe. Please do all the things. You can like and subscribe by just smashing that subscribe button or the like button. But if you're really picking up what I'm putting down, I'd be so much obliged if you'd rate the show, and better yet, leave a review on your platform of choice. Apple Podcasts, always the best and most effective. There's Spotify comments, YouTube comments, however you want to play it. Please rate and review if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And if you just want to holler at your boy, have some commentary, have some reflections, constructive criticisms, suggested guests, just want to say hey, send an email to b.getz@upfullife.com. I love to hear from the people. Certainly love to hear from listeners. And if you want to throw me a few dollars for making you holla, just go to upfullife.com. There's a support button at the top menu. It goes to a Venmo. Any and all financial support greatly appreciated. If you don't want to use Venmo, just send me an email, b.getz@upfullife.com, and we can certainly figure something out. You can go to patreon.com/upfullife. Another ways to support, and I sneak some goodies in over there every now and again. To the late, great psychedelic cowboy shaman guru Bobby Weir, who passed away right as my last episode with Otis was going to press, or whatever you call podcast press. As far as my thoughts and feelings and emotions, they're all encapsulated, or much of it is, in my report from San Francisco, the daytime memorial on the Saturday after Bobby passed in downtown San Francisco, and then the absolutely magical and emotional tribute concert, Howlin' Wolves, a tribute to Bobby Weir that went down at the Warfield. Thanks to Burko and everybody who made that possible and made sure I was in the building. Andrew O'Brien, too, Live for Live Music. Everyone who facilitated that healing experience. So you can read all about that on Live for Live Music and upfullife.com. This here, episode 96. A little more Eck on the way out. Yes, indeedy. That is the sounds of lespecial doing Dissociate, Wormtown 2025, and This is going to be the first podcast of this format or nature that the Upful Life is releasing. 96 episodes in, and it is a year in the life of lespecial. And Jonny G from lespecial has been on the show. He's no stranger to the show. So he goes back to episode 40 in December of 2020, then appeared again on a Kraz episode in February of 2022. And now he's back. Although you did hear him on the D'Angelo episode too. Yeah, Jonny G, no stranger. But we've got Luke and Rory from lespecial in the mix, at least early. So let me lay it out to you. It wasn't initially dreamt up to be a year in the life of lespecial. What had happened was we did an interview deep into Jam Cruise almost a year ago to the day. And frankly, it's a great interview, but I did way too much talking, likely because I was a little bit hopped up on Adderall, powering through my first Jam Cruise in 9 years, reporting for Live for Live Music, doing pod interviews. You've heard a number of them already. This is likely the final one. But it was obviously a long time ago, plus I did way too much talking. So a few months ago, I decided I needed to get the scoop on LIMINOID because they started teasing LIMINOID in the original interview, as you'll hear. And then LIMINOID came to fruition gloriously. You can read about it in my Fave Records of 2025 feature. It's among the favorite 25 with a review. Link in the show notes. So I had to talk to Yheti because Yheti is obviously the brainiac mad scientist behind the LIMINOID project, as you'll hear all about. So it wasn't easy getting Yheti Spaghetti on the horn, but thanks to much effort and patience, I was able to do that about 2 months ago. And then lespecial announced a tour out here West Coast. Golden Road Gathering Festival, High Sierra Festival, a bunch of gigs in March that we'll hear all about. So I had to kind of get it updated. That's all coming up. You're going to hear all about everything that's transpired for the year in the life of lespecial, and that they're celebrating 20 years as a band. A lot of people think that they're a new band, but in fact, they've been at it since teenage era and just celebrated on New Year's Eve their 20th anniversary. So we touch all those bases with the boys from lespecial plus Tyler Yheti in the mix. LIMINOID, everybody's favorite robot. So with that, we're going to hear the end of Dissociate and then hear from a year in the life of the mighty lespecial. Yes, indeedy. All right. Well, coming to you live and direct, Jam Cruise 21, Media Cabin, and I'm sitting here haggard as a motherfucker. Day 5, Joe Namath level struggling.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling. I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
But I got a little pep in my step because I'm sitting here with some of my bros, 3 dudes that I've become very fond of. A huge fan of their music, even bigger fan of them as humans. And, I'm going to toss the journalism tenets / ethics of the division between journalist and artist. That's going overboard. We're just going to be hanging with the homies. So let me introduce from lespecial. We got Rory Dolan, Luke Bemand, Jonny G. Welcome and welcome back to the Upful Life podcast.
Luke Bemand.
Bemand.
Hell yeah.
You said it like brownie, so
I'm sorry.
That's what I'll allow it though.
Bemand. Like Sean. It's just like his dialect. He pronounced our last name the exact same.
All right. Well, it was a miracle that we got all of us here.
True.
And time is valuable, and so is rest. So let's get into it. This is your second time on the boat. You were here 2 years ago. You're invited back with a bit more going on. So what are your initial snap judgments / reflections? What's different this go around as opposed to your rookie year?
More sit-ins. I mean, the first year you're just like kind of enamored with the entire vibe and just the chaos of it, how fun it is. And it's such an insane party. But as a musician or crew or anything that you're working, there's a lot of places you have to be, interviews, sit-ins, sets, lunch when you can. And you can't walk anywhere without somebody like dressed like a fruit coming up to you and giving you a fucking sticker. So it's just like it's complete chaos. But it's really fun. But by day 4, I'm like, if anybody hands me another fucking sticker, like,
and of course I hand you like 4.
you can hand me stickers. It's the people that are dressed as fruit. I don't want their stickers.
You know, what are you feeling about this trip?
Well, you know, I think we were pretty busy the first time around as well. We had the 2 special sets. We had a Bacchante set. I had an Everyone Orchestra set. So maybe just as busy in terms of number of sets, but I think we moved up in terms of like the rooms we were playing. We got to play in the theater this year, which is definitely a step up production wise and crowd wise. And that went over really well. I got to play in the theater also with Prince Bowie. And so, I don't know. I mean, we've been maybe just as busy as we were the last time, but there's just a little bit of a different, level up that's maybe felt in certain ways by moving to those other rooms.
Word. And you, my man, Jonny, you are, in 2 bands officially here. Not just like playing with Everyone Orchestra or playing with Prince Bowie, but like you're a member of a second band. So what's double duty like?
It's been a busy week. A few things to do every day, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm grateful to be busy on the boat and made it to just about everything. I missed the Club Delph band photo this morning because of the time change. I had my alarm set and everything, so that was a bummer, but hopefully they'll keep me in the band.
Or Photoshop, yeah, these days they can do anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a bummer. The time changes fucked me up for some interviews too, and kind of just messed me up. Some people are operating on local time or boat time, and it's been you're not alone.
Keep you on your toes. Got to check your clock.
Definitely. Let's talk about the performances. I mean, yeah, I was a little bit elevated here, but both performances were, and I'm not just gassing you guys up because you're my friends, were just fucking potent and like just a sonic overload and energetic. Like, you know, a lot of these jam bands and shit, they're like pussyfooting around, you know, and that's cool for a lot of people. They're high, they just want to fucking twirl, you know, but as you guys know, I love the heavy stuff. I also love the electronic stuff, just in general. And you guys like dip your toes into those areas in a very original way. I mean, I loved the theater performance, but last night on the pool deck small stage, which always is such a dope container, the Delph set there, same thing. Tight quarters, loud, and energy. You know what I mean? You could fucking feel it. Especially when you guys were doing that punk metal shit with Mike D. Like, I thought, I wanted to stage dive. I haven't stage dived since Beasties 98, but I said the next time I do, it's going to be a lespecial show.
That would have been like the first jam crew stage that.
Probably I'd get thrown off the boat.
Mike tried to jump off the bass drum. He like put a foot up on it and he looked at me like wide-eyed. I'm like, yeah, maybe you don't do that. He mounted it. He mounted the bass drum, but he thought twice, which means he's learning. He has already a speaker before and got like concussed with sitting and he bounced off the ceiling in Steamboat Springs off the PA speaker. And that's not the only time. Some other band was telling me last night when he sat in with them, like he jumped off somewhere, bashed his head, it went down. That motherfucker's been concussed more times than like Lawrence Jail here. Like,
no doubt. But let's talk about like from the stage, because I'm talking about from the rage. Do you guys have a preference of the performances? If so, why? And just like general reflections on like the lespecial you brought to the boat this year.
We love playing in the theater. It's epic. It's awesome. We can kind of mold our set to that. It sounded amazing. But yeah, there's something special. And as we kind of climb the ranks here, I hope we can still play those intimate punk rock venues, because there is something special about when we're right in their face and it's intimate and we sort of, it brings something out of us. We shine a little bit. So I hope as we grow, I hope that we still get to get on the floor with the crowd and do those punk rock shows and the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were playing those fucking chunky ass breakdown, like beat down hardcore type, sick of it all riffs, just chunky. I swear to God, if my wife was not next to me, I just would have swung on somewhere. It was so fucking sick, dude. All right, your thoughts?
The theater set was definitely special. Just the sound in there was incredible. The crowd, I mean, that really, I was looking forward to that set, but it definitely surpassed my expectations in terms of how it went off and was received. And first time to share the stage with Skerrick was a moment. Mike T, when we did the marimba breakdown, all four of us, there was a spotlight. A lot of people said that was a highlight, and that was cool. And we kind of went into it like the pool deck set was going to be the more like ratchet set. We were going to do some more of the trap shit and the metal shit. And we definitely did that. But the sit-ins, it was just insane. It's like on the theater, you have a big like green room and a stage area. There's people just like shuffling through the crowd, but coming under like a tarp to like sit in with you. It's definitely chaotic, definitely more ratchet. Both really fun. And I had a few people tell me that last night was their favorite lespecial set they'd ever seen, who had seen us quite a few times. You said that as well. Yeah.
Like here.
Yeah, but that's fucking cool, man. I would say I preferred the theater set personally. Just felt like a moment. But yeah, I mean, like John said, we do enjoy the intimate punk rock shit. It was a vibe last night for sure.
I mean, if it was only the Pantheon set, but that was it, I was satiated. You know what I mean? I felt good about it. But last night, brought out the 13-year-old fucking punter, hesher, fucking metalhead in me. I could tell by the way Alicia was looking at me a few times. It was like, bro, chill there. You know what I mean?
Motherfucker! 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 Say, everybody, you want to lay down my advice. Say, everybody, you want to lay down with me. Say, everybody, say, everybody.
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments. I think that there's something special about being up top of the ship because you can really feel the fact that you're on the ship and you're sailing away. And you feel the wind, you feel the vibes up there. Obviously splitting up the sit-ins was fun. Playing with Skerrick was great. I don't think I would necessarily have a preference of set, and I was definitely probably scraping the gas tank as far as energy a little bit more last night. But the fact that people said before the set on the pool deck last night, they had said that the theater set was their favorite set they'd seen us play. And then after the Bruise of Sea stage, they say the same thing about that. And my response to that, when people say that, it's like, well, that's the goal. If every show we play is the best show you've seen us play, then hopefully we're headed in the right direction.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints. So that's what they used to say on the boat back in the day. I haven't been on the boat in 9 years, so it's great to be back. But back when I used to go, the catchphrase was, I have no complaints. So, yeah. So I would say that about both lespecial sets.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Pantheon for a quick sec. Skerrick, he's kind of like the resident weirdo, the dude that's like, except in the jam community, but it's playing like gothic, satanic, like free noise jazz metal, and like you guys kind of do that, not like free noise jazz, but like you came up in the sort of like the redheaded stepchild of the jam community, even though you're not noodly jam band, but you're like of this scene, yet the music you actually perform is more suited to a little bit of a darker situation, not everything but a lot of it. And so I thought that the lineage, like the elder statesman of Skerrick, he's kind of like yin to Mike's yang. Mike is just this wild dude. Skerrick's pretty buttoned up, but then musically he's fucking Satan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm so stoked that you guys are collaborating. I'm looking forward to New Orleans. So to see you guys finally do something together and have Mike up there, and then Wasili too. I mean, he's fucking incredible. So I love that. But let's talk about the specials cover. Ghost Town, you're singing the falsetto, you have the full horn section.
clubs are being closed down. This place is coming like a ghost town. Bands won't play no more. Too much fight on the dance floor.
Well, we fuck with the movie Snatch for sure. The Snatch soundtrack is amazing. Like, my dad used to have, like, play the CD of the Snatch soundtrack when I was like a kid driving around his car, and we've talked about covering that album for like a Halloween show or something. Like, every song is a banger. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have family, and my dad actually played like drums in like a punk rock band for a small amount of time, not seriously. Yeah, the Body Snatchers. So he's got like some English punk roots. So we played that song once in Connecticut when we had horns, and my parents were there. My dad doesn't get to see us a lot, so like that was really cool for me. So that's a special song for us too, I think. And to do it with Skerrick was really dope. Yeah, the specials are fucking sick, and it's funny just to the special to cover a special song. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have roots in England. I have family in England. Luke has family in England. We really appreciate that music. We've always played dub and reggae shit here and there. That rhythm is a big part of our DNA. We've always talked about doing that song. So yeah, to do it with one of our heroes, like, I remember the first time I saw Skerrick, it was all good. Mike D was on drums, and they were doing punk rock, and he was screaming into his sax mic. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Yeah, the Rope-a-Dope stage, all good, 07 or something. And of course, we had watched him on the Bonnaroo DVD, playing with frogs. He's always been one of our heroes, so that was a full circle moment to get him up there.
Yeah, it felt like immediate chemistry, fit, symbiosis. And like I said, there's a lineage of like weirdo, like heavy metal, but also really astute, learned musicology. You know what I mean? And that's like a rare Venn diagram where you can be like that evil and that much of a virtuoso. You know what I mean?
Good call.
So I loved it. I'm a big dub guy. Dude, you were so loud in the mix. Right. But here's the thing. Dude, when you listen to those Yardie mixes, those deep dubby fucking records, the bass is buzzing, crank, just like blowing the cab. So I think it was pretty on point in that regard, you know? Like, it was mixed like it should be.
It's a fat bass line, and like, it's fun to just take that last section and dub it the fuck out, and like, Skerrick and Alex like trading solos. That was dope. That was some of the that's it. And then also the horn section last night was, maybe I'm biased, I play, but I thought some of the best horn playing I've heard on the boat, because they're not just playing like a Stevie Wonder part too. They were like getting weird with it.
And the way they arranged that sort of like pass it around thing was really dope. I appreciate when you like treat folks to something rare. That's why I asked if it was rare. It's like, then people, not only did they see the Sickest Special show, but they saw a song that rarely gets played, and something that they can say like, I was there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how I feel about Ghost Town, especially like the way that Wasili with the trombone could make it like moan, like, wah, wah, wah. You know, it was like, you know, I had some enhancers, but it was like sonically just so huge and enveloping, and then your bass cab just like nuking us. It was dope.
It is cool because sometimes you see a horn sit in with a jam band. It's just like a saxophone solo for 20 minutes, but they were really creative in ways that they were trading licks and shit. It was cool.
Who was the fourth dude that wasn't in the horn section with the long hat?
Sean McLean.
Sean. Yeah. How do y'all know him?
West Coast. He's the vibe tender. We met him at like a Humphreys show, right? You sat in with Humphreys? Yeah, I'm out in Portland, I believe, a couple years ago. And he was on the boat, I think 2 years ago, maybe 2. But yeah, he's a good dude from Portland. I'm not sure what the band that he plays with is, but they were like, why the hell not? Why not 4 horns? Why not 5 horns? Should have got a couple more up there.
So yeah, and he knows the song. The horn section knew it. We were talking to Skerrick about doing it, and Skerrick's like, if you can get me a chart, he's like, I don't have time to write this out before the set. But I would think that we're probably going to play it with him when we do the set in New Orleans, and I'm definitely stoked about him getting satanic on Cannibal Holocaust.
Is that something that only comes out once in a while?
We really only do it with horns. That was a tune that I wrote when I was at Berkeley, and like I had to say on the mic, like when I should have been like practicing jazz, I was like smoking weed and watching horror movies. But that song kind of came out of it. It's after like a real grimy, controversial, weird 70s horror movie called Cannibal Holocaust. It's cool to do. It's like a weird, fast, chromatic line, and when you hear the horns all locked in, it's fun. We played it like, I don't know. That song is how old? Like 10 years?
Recorded it with Alan Evans.
Oh yeah. Right.
Play on Brothers Studios?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a recording of it. It's not on Spotify or anything, but maybe I have a Play On Brother hand-drawn demo from John back in the day.
That's dope. I really like this song. Had also a kind of like a reggae-ish thing towards the end, right?
Mr. Yancey type. I was wondering if you heard like the Mr. Yancey vibe. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, definitely. We were listening to a lot of Lettuce Rage during that time.
Yeah, and weren't we all? Yancey is the song that like I Saw the Light. That was the tune. You know, yeah.
We were just getting into J Dilla and like hearing Lettuce do that, and so that was a big influence. Yeah, it was cool to kick it with them last night. We had a great hang with Jesus and Deitch and Tycoon. They were just playing us old beats that they made and talking to each other about the sets. And yeah, I mean, it's so cool to go from like your heroes to your homies. You know what I mean? Yeah, those guys are deep dudes. It's awesome to talk music with them.
Oh, it's the best, man. They're like very deep wells of knowledge and are eager to share and not on some like gatekeeper shit or anything. But a bunch of them were at your show. He said we're there with Tuna. They were all like lined up behind me on the left.
Who was there? I know
Jesus, Tycoon, Tuna, Zoidus, and his band.
Zoidus was there? Damn.
But he was there when I wrote it.
We've been seeing Zoidus since he was the fourth member of Soul Live. So yeah, he's another hero of ours. That's huge that he was there. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I love the synergy and the connection with that. Obviously, Lettuce is my favorite band. It's my religion. But I've swiftly gotten, like, lespecial pilled. And so, you know, I just love to see that kind of camaraderie. I love that you have that history, like, you know, teching for them. And I love that the song that made me, you know, convert to Lettuceism is inspired that fucking epic shit we saw last night. You know what I mean?
We want everybody to put their hands in the air and put them together like this, y'all. We want everybody in the crowd doing this. This is dedicated to the late, great James Yancey. You know him as J Dilla. Make some noise for J Dilla in here right now.
You mentioned on stage that, you know, had Rory been selected for the Primus chair, you're going to sue. Which honestly got like an audible laugh, like over the noise. It was like you could hear people guffaw. You know, everyone was behind the opportunity. But yeah, Rory, just talk about how you're feeling in the aftermath.
Yeah, so I definitely maybe was a little emotionally torn up about it initially, but I also have had, I have a lot to be grateful for in the whole experience. It was unheard of that it even happened. I'm super lucky to have had that opportunity, and 10 people out of 6,000 is pretty crazy. I should feel good about that, and I have to thank my community of family, friends, bandmates, and everyone else all over for the support. It's been amazing, and inspiring. And, at the same time, I've got a lot to be grateful and look forward to and thankful for. I've got a great band that's my creative outlet that I didn't want to, have to split my time or whatever. Obviously, that could have been a really awesome thing in a lot of ways. I just had 2 babies, so I have that to focus on and be grateful for. And I don't have time to thank you. I don't have time to be too upset or cry about the Primus thing because these 2 babies are already crying. So
It's incredible, man. I mean, our drummer got to audition with one of our favorite bands, our heroes, and we had his back 100%. I would have loved this. I'd love to be backstage at every Primus show, go on tour. Not that I would go to every show, but I also think Rory's on his own path, and he's his own drummer and his own human, and maybe it's not his like fate or destiny to join another band, but to create something new and be on his own path. So and now he gets to do that with this new incredible accolade, and I'm cool playing original music with Mike D and Skerrick and getting in with that crew, and teasing an occasional Primus song is always fun too. So shit works out the way that it's supposed to,
For a deep dive into Rory's experience auditioning for Primus, check out my feature interview with him from Jam Cruise last year on Live for Live Music. Link in the show notes.
I guess you let the cat out of the bag. I love the electronic side of y'all. We geeked out over Tipper early in our friendship. Like, I am very inspired and stoked, and I listen to a lot of psychedelic electronic music. So when y'all both individually told me that you're making a record with Yheti Spaghetti, who I had the pleasure of see freestyling with you guys at Sonic Bloom.
Big up the special. Yup. Now is the future, sweating on the dance floor. Work it out, what these beats were made for. Mesmerized, eyes with discrepancy. Sensitized to the patterns of the energy. In tune with all that cosmic silliness. Making jokes cause the world can be sad and shit. Thought about the mind and how it all fits. I don't know, I'm just happy I got friends.
It sounds like, you guys are taking it to another level. So that's, first of all, it's got to soften the blow a little bit. That you're opening in this other chapter that's also very vibrant and be here now. It's not nostalgia. So whatever you're comfortable saying, talk about this coming up project.
Well, yeah, Yheti is a producer that Luke got us into. I think he discovered him on SoundCloud years ago, and we just love his shit. It is very forward-thinking, not afraid to be a little wacky, but also really intricately sound design, like expert sub-bass trap beats. And we've been, listening to him for years, and finally got him out to the studio. He came to our space in upstate New York for about 2 weeks, and we improvised. We played in the style of funk or acid jazz, or, he had this whole structure where he said, now we're going to do 5 funk jams, or now we're going to do 10 dub jams. Everything we did was in one key, E minor. So now he can take those thousands of wave files we recorded and chop them and screw them and rearrange them. And I was just with him in St. Pete in his studio before getting on the boat, and hearing what he'd done with some of that shit and mash it together, add some vocals, and it's really coming together to be really new sound that I have never heard anyone do shit like this.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
Yes, this is LIMINOID.
Yes, this is LIMINOID. Yes, this is LIMINOID. Yes, this is LIMINOID. Yes, this is LIMINOID.
This is LIMINOID.
It was almost like Blue Balls, because this is like the sonics, the sort of like physicality of the sound is, but you had us listening on your phone to think, yes, it was Blue Balls. It was like, I could tell it was dope as shit, but I was like, So, like, how did you coordinate this with him? Since I guess you discovered him, so you were the initial connect.
Yeah, I mean, when I was like DJing in Boston a while back, I just heard like that song Crack the Window and it was just like, damn, this is fucking dope. Started playing in my sets and introduced him to some other producers that then just showed him and they collaborated. I played some shows out with him in Boston and then he saw lespecial play a couple sets, like festivals like The Workout, because he's from Ohio originally. And he just fucked with our music and he used to do like crazy hardcore shows and like John said, I mean, he's a deep dude. He has a very deep knowledge of a lot of music. And we always kind of toyed with the idea of like collaborating. And a lot of the time with musicians, I'd just be like pub talk, like we got to do some shit. Like, yeah, we'll do some, let's go on tour, man, But like Yheti is a dude that's not just going to like gas you up. Like he really had the intentions to do it. And then when our manager got a hold of his manager, he was like, this is a great idea. This is a great crossover. And then that's when it gets real, so we could connect on an artist level with management, can have their fucking little dollar signs in their eyes and try and plan out all the other shit. But, he took it super serious by coming out and staying at the Music Center for 2 weeks. And so we're trying to reciprocate that. John went down to St. Pete, where he lives, early before Jam Cruise. I'm flying down there in March to work with him a bit more. And now once we started hearing the demos, it's like, oh shit, this shit's real. I mean, it was fun to collaborate and just like work in an improv setting. But once you started sending the demos, I was just like, oh fuck yeah. Like this is one of my favorite producers now. Like, and you hear his voice with our music and it's super exciting. We showed like Deitch and Jesus last night. Like Tycoon's like, no, on Deitch's Ghetto Blast there. Well, Tycoon is like, there's no way he's gonna give you the aux. He's like, I'll bet you $20. I got $20 on Deitch not giving me the aux. And I was like, well, I'm happy listening to his old beats. This is dope. But I knew Jesus was like, I want to hear that shit. I was like, I know you're going to dig it. He's like, all right, email it to me. I think I asked him like 10 more times. But we played one track and just had that, and they really fucked with it. Yeah. It's a very like West Coast. Yeah. It sounded better when I showed him last night. It's exciting, man. It's like, it's the kind of music that I'm super stoked to just show people. Clearly, I'm just putting my fucking phone over people's ears. But like now we can bring these shits in DJ sets too, you know what I mean? Like this is a very exciting, very new project. So I think in May is when we're trying to put this shit out. And we'll be doing a couple performances this summer and then hopefully a whole fall tour.
I got to get to, at least the fall tour, if not something over the summer, but I'm really stoked on this. One of the reasons that you guys are one of my favorite bands is because not just the metal, I think that's what stole my heart, but is the electronic stuff, whether you're playing like the Yheti song or you play the Hudson Mohawk song, or you just have your own songs that are clearly influenced by like sound design, technology, but also because you're learned musicians, you're not just like pressing buttons and making sounds. It's musical. It's smart. You know what I mean? And that was really on display last night. I thought the trap shit and that really like heavy psychedelic electronic. So this is an organic evolution of what you're already doing with some like a peer on a parallel journey.
Hack your profiles, delete your legacy, regain your dopamine, join the Outernet.
People think of like Yheti, he's been around forever. Y'all have been around forever, but you'll hear people consider Yheti like of the next generation. And people say like the new band lespecial, you know what I mean? Meanwhile, you guys are, 15 plus 20 years. Wow, mazel tov. That's amazing. And to think I didn't get there till 2020, and only because this man right here slid into the DMs. And he used Rope-A-Dope as the carrot. He's like, yeah, we got a record, some Rope-A-Dope. Check it out. And that shit changed my life. Musically, it was like a fucking 500 cc's dart of inspiration to the neck. And then it gave me 3 new homies, and working on ancient. I think once we get to like a decade, I can say ancient homies, but
I'd say we're already ancient.
Yeah, man. That's the point. Our souls had known each other for before this life.
So the new song, like Disassociate, is that what it's called? Or just
Dissociate.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I love the stuff I didn't recognize last night too, but I was speaking of that fucking Slatanic, just fucking sledgehammer.
Well, all our songs, you know, we kind of take the Radiohead route where we credit all of us for writing all of them. You know, I don't write Rory's drum parts. So we all contribute, but that was like a riff, you know, as a voice memo on my phone, started as, you know, we played it at a sound check, get everyone on the same one, and away it went. It kind of just uses the Phrygian dominant scale that we love so much for the non-musicians out there. If you think of the opening song of Pulp Fiction, Miserlou, that's that scale. They love to use it. We've been listening to, I don't know, Glass Beams and all the usual heavy shit, and that's what came out, Dissociate. Should we change it to Disassociate? Is that what everyone's saying? Nobody can say the name right.
I fucked it up.
We don't really even know how to say it. Dissociate. But there's two words. There's also the word disassociate, and that's what most people say because they expect that word because it's a more common word maybe. But so easier. Like there's a Dr. Jeep track that I DJ sometimes that's with the same name that's really dope. I figured that was less syllables, easier to say. But
yeah, generally we'll play stuff on the road, and before we record it, it's pretty rare that we get something in the studio that hasn't been played live, honestly, which is good and bad. I think sometimes things will develop and develop in a positive direction when you workshop them on the road because you see what works, what doesn't work, what gets a crowd reaction, what is actually like, you know, easier to play and more fluid. And then sometimes there's a version of a song that you're doing initially that's really great, and then maybe you get away from that in some way, shape, or form once it gets recorded. And usually that's a positive, but sometimes you're like, oh man, I wish we still had that initial impression of it. But it can go both ways. But yeah, it's pretty rare that we have something that hasn't been played live on a studio record.
I think that plays a huge part in it. Like there's such a difference between working together in a studio and getting a crowd reaction. I think it's like for producers, you know, they're working on their own. It's cool for us. We can all work together and bounce ideas off each other. But like, you know, I think producers, like their favorite thing to do is to drop new tracks when they're playing live because they finally get to like see a human reaction to it. So like that part of it is fun and it's exciting to see people react to new music live. And we can't make an album, you know, every year. It takes a lot of money and time and shit like that. So sometimes debuting stuff on the road is how you get that out. And it's cathartic for us and exciting for fans. So whenever we play that, like we've been playing it for a few months, maybe almost a year now, right? Like we debuted it, like we figured it out on soundcheck when we were on tour in Florida, and Dave Sanchez from Havoc, who was our engineer and Agent Homies and Odd Times, but it's like more of a metal song. So we were Johnny was like workshopping guitar parts and shit with him. I'll always just say on the mic, it's a new one because it just draws more attention to it. And then people can talk about it and they can be like, that new shit, like you, like, you know.
Again, the Pantheon, the Sonics, your Mick, it was just like a bludgeoning.
But I'm glad it was fresh for you, and it still is developing. Like Bob Weir said on the Rick Rubin podcast, a song is a life form, and you know it's gonna morph and improve and self-correct and adapt and evolve.
If the future of the special is anything like Dissociate, did I get it right?
Oh yeah.
Good. Then we are fucking blessed.
One thing happened at the very end. There's that breakdown where it's just guitar. Dun, 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 dun. When you guys came in, I hit the delay to go to my solo, and my delay was still on the looper mode, so it started the outro Lungs of the Planet, shigga-da-gun, during what was supposed to be my guitar solo. So did you notice, like, some mud? All right, nice.
I think it was just so loud and heavy in there, it didn't even matter. A little flub note or whatever it was. Oh yeah, it's made it more metal.
Dude, we couldn't tell. I was too busy, like, you know, swinging on strangers.
You see Zoltar out there, a guy in a Zoltar cube, dude, it was amazing.
Posted it. I didn't even notice. It's such an outrageous video. There's just some motherfucker juggling in front of them, just like amazing. Look at this shit. Guys, this is a whole time like at the theater with chick just chilling, juggling, glowing arms.
All right, all right. Well, I've been really hassling this dude for a while. He's one of the busiest cats in the game. He's got a lot of irons in the fire. I'm here with Yheti, 1/4 of LIMINOID with the boys from lespecial, and want to just take a few moments and get caught up on this sick new project. So welcome to the Upful Life Pod, Yheti.
Yo, thanks for having me. Yeah. Happy to be here.
Right on. So speaking of here, you guys just 3 or 4 night run in the Northeast. What can you just tell us about, how the audiences are reacting to this hybrid project?
Audiences are reacting great. Like, better than I expected, honestly. Like, everyone seems to really love it. It's like every track is a different genre that we play. So I was a little, nervous how people would respond to it. But, people seem to be really open to like multi-genre sets. The project is really fun playing with lespecial. They're really talented musicians.
Your fans are really rabid and their fans are really rabid, and you guys are like kitchen sink type artists where you really never know what you're going to get. The left field anything goes thing works for y'all individually. So the only time I ever saw you play just a solo gig other than at a festival was at like a really random spot in Tahoe, and I just remember being blown away. You had like a fucking whole scene, and this is years ago. And those are East Coast boys, and I guess you're an East Coast guy originally, right?
Yeah, I'm originally from Ohio.
Okay,
So that's a bit further west than the East Coast scene, but
where does the connection with lespecial come from? Because I remember seeing you hop out with them at Sonic Bloom years ago, and I know the roots run way deeper than that. So give us a brief origin story.
they have been fans of my music for a long time. They cover one of my tracks, A Little Bit Goes a Long Way, in their set. And then I caught them playing at a few festivals and really loved their set. So just any festival we play together, we always hang out. And we've been talking about doing this collab project for years. Yeah, we've just been really big fans of each other's projects.
We were on Jam Cruise. They were super hype on just the idea and the very beginnings. I know it's gone a long way in a lot of places since then. When you guys got together, and maybe like talk about your role as a studio guy and also just kind of like the laboratory. And I want to just hear about it from the Yheti perspective.
I really wanted to tap into sort of like flow state improvisation. So when we recorded, I just gave them a lot of themes and sound sets, and we recorded, I think, like at least 100 different improvisation takes. But we did, and then I recorded everything multi-track. And then we did everything in E minor so that everything would harmonize together if I decided to take one piece from one track. I went home after, we didn't listen back to anything we recorded. We just kept recording and recording, improv after improv. When I got home, I broke every improv down into 16-bar loops and listened to it all through multiple times. And I would just like tag the certain parts that stood out to me as like interesting riffs or progressions. And then I think I whittled that down to like 86 different ideas, picked the best from that for the 12 tracks that are on the album. And some of the like tracks on the album were from like a 10-minute improvisation, and then I just cut through it and picked the best parts and sort of arranged it together. And it was a really long process, but it was really fun to have so much to work with, because there's way more than I could have possibly used.
Damn, that is ambitious, man. 100 improvs and then just breaking them down into the 16 bars. It's a lot of work, and also super brilliant and ambitious, and it kind of gives us an understanding what you went through with regard to like making this piece of sound art from the parts.
Because I remember, knowing the little bit I did about this project from them, from that interview we did, I want to say like February, and then a little more from Jonny. Then you dropped that, you guys briefly, it wasn't even up that long. I remember I recorded it because I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I wonder if this is going to stay up. So I ripped it off SoundCloud. I didn't share it around or anything, but I listened to the fuck out of it, like over and over and over again. Just all the genres like smashed up in these little, short bursts. It was a literal mind fuck. And I just remember, just being gobsmacked at the ingenuity and just like how you guys would go from like Slayer to Vaporwave in like an instant. At the same time, it felt really organic and, like you said, flow state. And it makes sense that, that was the embryonic thing was flow state. And then the end result is the same, but a lot went on in between. So I remember hearing, that there were like, you guys were really vulnerable posting about the sort of struggles or hiccups bringing this ambitious studio dragon to the live element. I think a lot of fans don't really grok or understand how hard it is to take something that's so nuanced or sample based or layered or baked in a studio and then recreate it like in real time. And you guys were really ambitious. You were like, we're taking this fucking stage right away. We're playing the Mish. We're doing it. And then, all y'all were like, did you like that? We were, we're figuring it out on the fly. So I'm curious, now that you have like a bunch of shows on your belt, albums out, people love it. What were some of those challenges and how did you overcome them?
Like you said, it was very ambitious what I had set out to do. When I imagine doing something, I can see exactly the steps it'll take to do it. And then every part of the way took significantly more time than I had anticipated, setting up the live set, breaking everything down into individual parts, setting automations so that the effects would change in time, setting up the talkback mics, everyone's stage mics, all the drum mics. On the drum kit, there's 10 different microphones, and then I had to set up automations to change the treatment every track. And then I was just finding myself in the studio for 12 hours at a time, just programming stuff. And when we did the Mishawaka, I was in the green room the entire show, trying to program stuff and get stuff ready. And then by the time we hit the stage, there were different issues, things that I didn't expect to happen. When we started, the MIDI controllers started to, they would cut in and cut out really quickly. But if someone was hitting a note when it cut out, it would just hold that note for a really long time. And then I had to figure out ways to reset it live. And there were a lot of issues. And from my perspective, it wasn't what I had imagined. So it was a really difficult time. But then a lot of people still said they had a really good time and enjoyed the set. And since then, we've had a lot of rehearsals and practices and figured out how to smooth all that stuff out. But it's been really challenging getting it all to work in a live environment because every single channel is running through my Ableton Live set. And it's all in one project file. So there's probably 100 different VSTs running. And then they all have to run at 0 latency so that when people hit a note, they immediately hear, which is a little tough on the CPU. So I had to figure out a lot of ways around that. And it's basically just a ton of automations that turn things on and off so that they come on and turn off at the right times. And yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge, but when it does work, it's really, really fulfilling and really nice because the sounds come through super fat. in terms of like the theme of the album being the Outernet and the whole robot theme, the whole like, with doing all the different genres, I wanted to have some sort of, I'm a really big fan of like The Wall from Pink Floyd and like concept albums. So I wanted the concept to be sort of this like liminal space between a human and a robot, like a robot starting to feel real emotions and realizing they're a human, or a human forgetting that they're a human and becoming a robot, and the sort of space between that, which is where the term liminoid comes from, which is like by definition like a liminal space at like a music concert or a space of change. And so the whole like theme of it is the Outernet is supposed to be like the internet, but it's a place where machines can log in and then experience real life rather than humans logging in and experiencing the digital world. So we wanted to try to express all of these like human emotions through different genres in the way that like a robot would feel them, but also a way a human that's become really digitized would feel them as well. So that's why we have a lot of robot vocals, a lot of sort of like robot sounds, but then also try to incorporate as much human feeling as we can. Like, for example, Static in My Veins is about a robot feeling love for the first time, and they're like questioning the emotions that they're having. And that's why it transitions from like a vocoded robot voice, and then in the chorus becomes like a human voice, and then back and forth. So yeah, that's like the general theme of the project. Yeah, it's the whole vision of it just started out as an idea in the studio, and I'm really happy with how it all developed and how strongly it represents the original idea and the theme of it.
When you had that idea, like how much of that did you communicate to Rory and Luke and Jonny when you're like giving them instructions for the improvisation, when you're laying down those like 100 segments or whatever? Were you fleshing out the thematic ideas or just kind of shouting colors or instructions? Like how much did you give them of this in the beginnings?
Yeah, before we started recording, I took a really long bike ride in New York and sort of had the vision of a solid theme to tie it all together. And we sat and like wrote notes about all the different, we tried to plot out like a robot / human's life from birth to death, and then all the different emotional changes that they would go through, and then correlated different genres. So even before we started recording, we sort of had the vision of what it was supposed to represent, sort of the emotional goal of what to achieve through it. So yeah, since the beginning of the recording process, we've had the vision and the theme plotted out.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Yheti, now that Jonny's here, what are some of the stuff that goes on like in real time on stage performing this music?
Well, one of the things that's unique for lespecial is that generally all of their instruments are running through amplifiers, and the drum treatment is the same throughout the whole set. But in the Liminoid set, all of them are running through my laptop, and there's automation set up that change the treatment of their guitar, bass, or keyboards in sync with the track. And for me, normally I'm just playing on CDJs, and for the Liminoid set, I'm playing keyboard, and there's a lot more improvisation involved because at the end of almost every track, we'll do like an improv with the sound set. And when we do those improvs, it's just completely off the cuff. and then we just have fun with the sound set for a couple minutes and then move on to the next track. So that's the funnest part of it for me, because the lespecial guys are super good at improv. Like if I hit a certain rhythm on the flute or the keyboard, Rory will like pick it up immediately and start matching that rhythm with the drums. Yeah, it's really fun.
And on the other side, Johnny, what's it like for you to not have on-stage amps, to not be like kind of manipulating your own tones, your own sound, basically just playing the note and then letting Tyler do whatever the fuck he wants with it? Is there a certain like mental thing, surrender thing? How do you like approach that like as a performer?
It's definitely nice having like the patches and the effects change automatically, because we're playing to a click. So like when the next section comes, all these cool effects that he's designed and dialed in will automatically be engaged, and I don't have to tap dance. I can just kind of focus on playing the rhythm and the notes, and so it's very liberating.
And I asked this of Tyler before you got on, but I'm curious, you know, you played some gigs that had some struggles and hiccups. I'm just curious from your perspective.
Honestly, I think this would have been a lot easier. There wouldn't have been as many hiccups if we had just stayed with Tyler's original vision, which, again, no amps. All the instruments are filtered through his computer into these effects effects chains, and they're mixed and dialed and fine-tuned. And then every time you open the session, it's the same, and they just send a left-right out to the house. While our manager was extremely insistent that any band, quote-unquote, needed to be sending individual stems to the house, which I get where he's coming from. Typically, that is a move for bands. You can adjust individual volumes of individual instruments, but Tyler is the sound guy. He is the engineer. And this is sort of a DJ thing, simply in the sense of we're just sending out a left-right. It's already been mixed on stage. Because of his insistence that we do that, we had to like add this whole stage box and all this cabling in between, adding error points. Setting it up took us 7 hours at rehearsal in Secret Dreams Airbnb. We were all ready to go, and we waited around all day, and it really deflated us. And I think it set us back a lot. We did actually perform that way at the Mish, and there were some issues. But finally, I just said to my manager, like, this is fucking ridiculous. You don't really get the project, what we're doing here. And like, kind of like, how dare you undermine your artist? Like, you work for me, and we're telling you what we did. We were there for the process. So when we switched back to just letting Tyler send out a left, right to house, it's been kind of a breeze. You know, a couple MIDI trigger glitches that we worked through. But really, it's a shame that the Mish went like that because of somebody outside of the project kind of insisting we do it a certain technical way. Because it really, sure, it is gargantuan, and I'm so impressed with how Yheti has kind of how he controls everything and has dialed everything. But it's been great since we kind of switched to our initial technological setup.
Tainted memories. Recycle their souls.
Still love you.
That, well, this is like some of my favorite music in a really long time since like ACT hit my brainwaves, you know. So I really wanted to see it work, and I was deflated reading y'all's like kind of quasi disappointment post Mish, knowing the potential that this thing has, and I'm so stoked to know that whatever behind the scenes shit sucked, you've been able to get back to trusting the Yheti vision, which is how you got here in the first place. And now that if it's a breeze, then, you know, you can put your foot back into it. Because I really think this is a mind fuck people need to experience. I really hope you guys figure out a way to bring it to California, because I do think that the West Coast Festival audience is primed for this kind of music and experience. They already love Yheti out here. And the one time you were out here, you know, it was a fucking hoot. So I hope you all can figure it out. Is there a future? Do you see this as a one-off? Do you think it has legs for a round two? Like, what is the kind of, now that it's out and you're on the road, how does it feel? And is there a future?
Or do you see this as sort of like a blip, like had to be there?
Well, we have like 2 more albums worth of tracks that we're going to eventually release. And then I think after this tour, we're going to do festivals this summer. I think Lespecial is going to work on an album. I'm going to do a tour with my little bro, Toadface. And then as long as people are enjoying it and there's a demand for it, we'll definitely do more shows. It's super fun to play with Lespecial on shows. So hopefully people enjoy the next. We've had really good response on the first album. And yeah, we have a ton more music to release once I do the mix down and final edits. And yeah, working with Lespecial was the best because they really did put a lot of trust in my vision. We're just down to work with all the different ideas I had, and we weren't really trying to make it was really, like you said, like a vision of art and not really like what do we think will sell best or sell the most tickets. It was really like, because we could have just tried to do like an EDM thing with a lot of build-ups and dubstep breakdowns and stuff, but we really wanted to explore all of our musical inspirations and make something that we felt could be timeless.
Yheti on yes, flute.
After I spoke with Yheti and Jonny about LIMINOID, lespecial announced a West Coast tour with multiple festival hits called the Tentacle Difficulties Tour. So with that, I knew the mission was to make this a year in the life of lespecial. And in order to complete the revolution around the sun, I had to catch up with each of the guys. First Rory, then Luke, then Jonny G. So these conversations took place in early February 2026.
All right, man. I managed to track down the elusive Rory Dolan, drummer of lespecial. You heard from him earlier in the Jam Cruise portion of the conversation. What's up, Rory? Welcome back.
Bada boom. What up, brother? Good to see you, man.
Likewise, man. It's great to hear your voice. And tell me where I'm talking to you from right now.
Right now I'm just on a little lunch break in my sleepy hometown of Kent, Connecticut. Doing a little side work in our kind of a slow February for me music wise. So I'm just picking up a little side work, helping my buddy with a project here in town. Kent, Connecticut's where Luke and I are from. And I took a little lunch break, so took the opportunity to get on the phone with you.
Well,
catch up.
I appreciate that, and so do the listeners. And yeah, it's often interesting just to get a peek inside of what, the offstage, like real life human being side of a working musician, because people just think you guys, no pun intended, are like robots, can just go from town to town and play your best show every night.
I'm always teaching. I teach at Johnny's Music School, and I also teach at a different private school here in the region. So that work's always happening. And, I would say last year it was predominantly not doing a lot of side work. It was a lot of side gigs, like other side project gigs, and keeping the calendar booked, which was pretty much the case for the beginning of this year, too. And then just this month, it was a little bare. So as you well understand, having, little ones at home and having to put food on the table, it would be one thing to be a starving artist by myself, and maybe I'd be okay with that. But there's no such thing when the family's on the table. So you got to keep it moving. And that's interesting too to me, that like people generally have this perception of like when they see our tour dates and they see that we're active, we're busy, people will see me and they're like, how's tour? I'm like, well, I'm not like on tour necessarily. Like I'm busy, I'm working every weekend, most of the weekends anyway. This month's one exception. But like the perception that like you're always on the road is a misconception, I think. In a lot of ways. And maybe it's true for some people, but I'm always home in between these things. I've gotten closer this year and last year than ever before as to having less and less side hustles that are not music related, but there's still a little bit of it here and there.
Oh, yeah, totally. And the economy calls for that. Obviously, you have young twins who just celebrated their first birthday. Happy birthday.
It's funny because we are on the boat and she had already had them, but they were only like a week old. And that was the craziness added to the craziness of the beginning of the year, because as we spoke about the Primus thing and then the twins, and then it was like, okay, now you got to go on Jam Cruise. And there was a reality where I almost wasn't sure if I would be able to go on Jam Cruise. And I'm glad I did. But at the same time, it was definitely a whirlwind,
It was a crazy year for you as a player, getting around, and also the special working so hard. But also, as we noted, and people can check out the feature that we did, the interview about the whole like Primus journey. But in the aftermath of that, it was a lot of carnage for drummers in our little musical universe. Just seemed like every month or two, starting with Herb from Primus and really kind of just on down after that, every few months. So weird to see this sort of drummer, I don't know what I would even call it, this chaos. And lespecial just over New Year's celebrated 20 years as a trio, the three of you, going back to high school. So the way I'm kind of framing this question is knowing what you know now in 20 years, and being a drummer, of course, and being in a trio with the same guys. What's the key? What could you tell, Rory 2007 or lespecial 2007, like that makes it work? Because, a lot of personalities, and you guys are different people, even though you're old friends, and life changes. And you see a lot of these bands lose cats, especially drummers. And you all are really just this amazing unit. So, and of course, that's how we see it from the stage. It may not be that way behind the scenes, but I'm curious from your perspective as a drummer, and also having just done 20 years with the original members. Do you have any secrets to your success or advice you'd give your younger self about how to like navigate that sort of band dynamics?
Well, I mean, the retrospective, thinking about the 20 years, it's just gone by semi quickly. So I don't think about it a lot as it's happening. But I guess looking back on it, I would say that I mean, one thing we've never done, although we've been active, is that we never really killed ourselves on the road in terms of like just like an onslaught of nonstop touring. You know, it's like we decided and we realized kind of early on, I'm saying maybe halfway through because our career as a band didn't start off touring heavily or even playing that many shows. It was just, we were reasonably active. And then that in the last probably 10 years, we've been touring more and more. But we realized after we went on maybe our first month-long tour, which is maybe the longest we've been on the road consecutively, that just wasn't necessarily for us, and we weren't going to be able to function to our best to the best versions of ourselves on the road as a band and as humans if we were going to just be like just hammering on the road. So, we want to be a little more selective, kind of just, try to go for more quality over quantity and be a little more choosy with plays. Obviously, you still have to work a certain amount unless you want to like start filling your calendar with other things. But I think that balance is important. And, being just like, I guess the cliche of being maybe staying open-minded, communicating openly, airing your grievances when you think that they should be aired, and trying to keep like a two-way street going with your mates. And it's the same as any relationship, really. You have to evolve, and you have to grow, and you have to give people space. So figuring out a good work-life balance for us meant that, we realized we weren't going to be going on, multiple month-long tours. We probably, we figured out we wanted to do, we do like 2 big tours a year, and the rest of it's peppered in there, and it's generally enough in the eyes of our perspectives, because we all have other projects that we like to do, and families and things that demand our attention.
That's good medicine, man, and that's really insightful just to hear you express it and look back like that. And I think that's more, aside from the music, which obviously is why I'm here and why we're here, the camaraderie, the chemistry, the brotherhood that just emanates from you guys is really inviting and alluring. It's also just like the way I become friendly with y'all and seeing how you move as a unit and individually. And it's admirable. This is why I want to shine a light on the band besides just the music. Is this a real success story on a human level? It might not feel like that in real time, especially when you're out grinding it out, getting stuck in blizzards, going to mining towns out here in California to play a show. I had no idea. But on the other side of it, it's a beautiful thing to behold. And in this day and age, when the commodification of music and social media and capitalism and fucking corporatization and all that, I think it's really important to tell the human stories, and to like shine a light on cats that are like doing it for the right reasons and also making really like unicorn art, which I would say the special does. And a lot of bands, whether they're jam bands or just artists in this sort of like post 2000s, it's not uncommon for bands to like dip their toe in multiple styles, but oftentimes it comes off, inauthentic or maybe half-baked, or just you can see the writing on the wall, the concept, oh, this is a musical costume. And that's not the case with the special. And even though I'm a jam guy, like that's the world I come from, and that's kind of the world you come from, like culturally, what drew me to Le Special's music is the heaviness. It came from my metal heart, not my jam heart. You know what I mean? And you guys exist in this jam world, but you make exceedingly heavier music. Every album, every tour, it seems like it's just getting heavier, working with Danny, etc. And then switch gears and do this LIMINOID project, which exists not in the jam world, not in the metal world, but in this other psychedelic, electronic, weird space base. Do you notice, whether it be the audiences or levels of success, what do you find yourself maybe like thriving in most? Is it the heavy scene where the pits are going, the circle pits, and people are raging? Is it your OG jam fans that have been down since, you guys were a quirky jam band in the beginning? Or are you seeing like that Tipper universe really showing up big in the Liminoid? I'm curious, like the musical personalities and how they're being received and responded to.
Yeah, it's interesting because, you kind of, the jam band scene has always been like the most open and the most accepting, I think, of all this like melting pot of styles that a lot of bands seem to demonstrate and put out there. And it's just like the scene that's been the most accepting to us. And we talk about how we'd want to try to be on like a more of like a heavy tour, or, play with those types of bands. And then we start wondering like, oh, would we have to cater our set list specifically to playing the heavier stuff and not play this other things that, for example, like some of the more electronic styles are the things that we kind of mix and match. And to me, the cool thing about our sound and what we do is the fact that you have these two things or these multiple styles juxtaposed and kind of melded together within compositions. It's not just like, okay, here's a gent tune and here's a drum and bass tune. It's like, okay, no, they're going together. And that's the beauty of it for me. And that's why I have trouble sometimes with wanting to like be like, oh, we should just be in a different scene. It's like, no, I want to kind of still do what we do and not just have to cater our sound to whatever specific scene and or show and type of audience that's showing up. That being said, I think that there's sometimes like the Liminoid shows that are maybe more of Yheti's fans coming out, right? And not knowing exactly what to expect. I think there's some people that really like it. And then there's those people that are a little confused by it. They're not such purists in one direction that they're kind of, they don't really get why you need a band to do this stuff. And on the flip side of that, like, I'm sure that if we played some more metal based scenes and shows and those kinds of bills, we probably would have to cater the set list to specifically that side of our sound, which is a lot of it anyway. But I kind of feel like some of these fans and these scenes, they might not be as open-minded as, say our jam cruisers and our festival goers in the jam scene.
I agree. Like, I think the wide-eared nature of the jam band thing, as Shameens would say, it's really not, jam band is not a style of music. It's an audience. It's like an acceptance. It's a way people come together. It's why you have the Halloween's and the Secret Dreams. Anything goes. And I think your band is emblematic of that in this day and age. One last question, because you guys are about to come on tour back to the West Coast. We can't wait to have you. You've announced Golden Road Gathering, which is a homie festival out here. We're going to try to bring the baby in the RV.
Oh, awesome.
High Sierra moved to Grass Valley. It's first year in its new location after over 30 years in Quincy. That's an institution. I mean, High Sierra changed my life. I also lived in Grass Valley for 7 years when I first moved out here and have deep community there. So, and that's nice. Right next to where you played in Nevada City in the mining town. So you guys made a hell of an impression that night. And I think High Sierra being there, it couldn't be more perfect for lespecial to return. And so you mentioned, because we've been trying to track you and Luke down, but I understand you guys had a band practice last night and it was a big one and it was kind of like the last for a minute. So for folks who would just wonder, like, you've been a band for 20 years, you guys have been friends for longer. What's a special band practice like in 2026? Is it real woodsheddy? Is it like philosophical discussions about the direction? Are you guys bringing new songs like hey guys, I got this thing? I'm just curious, if you wouldn't mind just giving people a window into the laboratory.
Well, it's a little bit of all those things. Like, for example, we were last night's practice was focused on, aside from the fact, or in addition to the fact that it was our last practice before this tour, which isn't so much a concern for me because I know that we're going to be on this tour for 3 weeks and we're going to, the first couple of shows, you're getting your bearings back, you're getting kind of oiled back up, and then you'll start to kind of flow and you'll start to roll. Those things kind of take care of themselves as far as I'm concerned, because then you're using sound checks as more rehearsals. They're not just checks. You can work on stuff. You can try things out. And the best possible scenario for that is a live show, in my opinion. But as for the practice last night, it was really focused on trying to design and curate this set list for this show we're playing, opening for Sound Tribe tomorrow night, actually, at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York. And this is a date that had been rescheduled from a previously scheduled date, I think in the fall. For whatever reason, it got moved. And we were happy that we were still on it, because the Cap is a great venue out here in Westchester County, like pretty close to the city, but only about an hour and 20 minutes from where I'm sitting right now in Kent. So it's a nice, like, local-ish gig. And the thing about it is that we're opening the night, and it's a 45-minute set. So we're used to playing, 75 to 90 minutes. If we're playing an opening set, it's usually at least an hour. But trying to figure out how to distill what we want to get across in the set tomorrow night to 45 minutes, is a bit of a challenge. And going back to what we were talking about earlier, is that, wondering how much should we cater to this crowd, and maybe dipping more into the kind of electronic, the beat music stuff that we think the Sound Tribe fans will like. And then we can't help but also want to put some of our heaviness in there. But again, it's a 45-minute set. So we had some set list ideas in the doc that we went over. We tried a couple older songs that we thought would work, and some mainstays in the set that we know we wanted to play. And then we did actually try a new track it's been kicking around for a while. It's like a beat that John put together that I had recorded something with him like several years ago at this point. It's just been sitting on a hard drive. He kind of unearthed, pun intended, he unearthed some stuff from a hard drive and started working on it and kind of rehashing some things that were like, well, what happened to this? We never finished this. So it's really, it was just a quick, like 2.5 minute, kind of, sort of sounds like something off of Artifact if I had to like put like, a likeness to it, but also sounds kind of like a little bit of MMW style in there. And it's kind of the perfect thing to insert in a set like this where we don't have time to do, a bunch of like 7 or 8 minute songs, nor would we necessarily want to for this show. So, I think the set list that we put together, which we just kind of ran some things just to know the timing of them, and then worked on this new beat, because there's the way it existed was like there's some samples that I trigger, and then I'm playing the drum part, and then like Luke was trying to figure out a way to fit into it because there wasn't any of his bass on it, I don't think, at that point. I could be mistaken, but either way, we basically just spent the majority of the practice running through that, getting it to a point where we feel like it's going to be good for tomorrow. And part of that set list planning also had us thinking like, okay, well, what sounds good in like a big open theater? And especially when we're playing at like 8 p.m. where like, hopefully there'll be some good amount of people there, but it might be about half full or maybe less, so you want to try to cater to the room, to the show, and also how you want to kind of be perceived by that crowd. But the band practice thing, yeah, we don't really get together that often. We were pretty good about it for a while. But I think maybe in lieu of like us knowing that we're going to be on the road for, close to a month coming up pretty soon, we're kind of like, we'll figure it out when we get out there.
It's a great billing. It's a great generational lineage thing. Sector 9, lespecial. And you mentioned Artifact with regard to like sort of accidentally maybe inspiring or kind of the vibe of something new. Artifact, now is revered. Obviously, it's this landmark album, but in real time, it was when it came out, people were used to like kind of a different, more vibey or more like, organic version of Sector 9. And Artifact was like this technological change with computers and blips and sampling and so forth. But from that, like this whole, multiple generations of this hybrid dance music meets jam music meets jazz music, And so I really see lespecial of that family tree big time. The way you incorporate technology and, virtuoso instrumentation seamlessly. I really feel like it's of the same river, if you will.
Sure thing. I just want to mention in response to the first half what you said about Artifact. That record in particular is really important for me for the beginning of lespecial, because it came out 04, 05, I think. And that was right when we were starting the band. So like the early days of lespecial and what we kind of would say our influences were, especially back then, that was like at the top of the list. Like that, I wore that record out in my Discman, if that's possible. But yeah, it was like super important, really, really influential. So we're honored to be opening for them. And yeah, it feels like a full circle moment.
All right. Well, I wrangled another one down. My man, Luke, you've been listening along. We're tracing a year in the life of lespecial. This has been such a joyful project for me to do. I love you guys so much as humans. One of my favorite bands. And dude, it's a long time for me and you. We really haven't sat just one-on-one, maybe ever. So give thanks and welcome to the Upful Life podcast, Luke Bemand.
Yeah, B, great to talk to you, man. And I give you props for wrangling all three of us and Yheti at all different times. So, hey, man, it's it's a pleasure to chill and sip some English tea and chat with you today, bro.
I got a fresh cup of coffee, so a little earlier out here. My wife is a big tea drinker, so she'll appreciate that. Yeah, man. So we started this thing on Jam Cruise a little over a year ago. We sat on the balcony and yucked it up day 5. I was holding on for dear life.
I think we all were.
Yeah. And at the same time, it was kind of like sowed the seeds for this longer journey that I didn't even realize we were going on at the time. But you talked about LIMINOID a little bit then we had opportunity to wrangle and speak with Tyler Yheti. And then now it's like lespecial, pedal to the metal, huge tour, West Coast festivals. That being said, man, it's an exciting time for lespecial. You're celebrating 20 years as a band. And I spoke to Rory about this earlier. We see a lot of chaos, especially with drummers, but just in general with bands that have been around for a while, that are on this sort of like jam scene grind, and circuit. Yet you guys are, high school bros, a trio, and you've managed to, make it to 20 years, original members, still doing the thing, still loving it. What is some wisdom you could share? Maybe whether you're talking to, Luke 20 years ago, or whether you're talking to a band that was like lespecial circa 2007, give us some gems or just perspective on, keeping it together and still thriving.
Oof. Can I come out of the gates dropping wisdom? I don't know, B. I mean, I guess like the first thing that I would tell musicians, either myself younger or anybody, to want to have longevity in this game is just be adaptable and just be open. I mean, when we started playing music together in 2005, obviously the music scene is constantly changing and reinventing itself, but now we're seeing the music industry reinvent itself and change at light speed constantly. Every few weeks to fucking seconds, the algorithm is changing. And it's frustrating. Of course it is, and I think that for a lot of musicians and people, you get to a crossroads when does the frustration outweigh the rewards? Or does the money outweigh getting a different, more stable career? And there's no shame or anything wrong with anybody, getting to a point in their life where pursuing a music career is no longer viable, and I think that it's like with the more we see bands that we love go on hiatus or quit, as much as it's a bummer for fans and colleagues and things like that, I mean, it's more understandable than ever. Especially musicians that just want that set out to do this to make money or to make music for the joy of it, right? If you can make money along the way, that's great. But, through the time as it's become so like self-promotional and, the selfies and anything to appease the algorithm seems to be more important than the music, it gets very easy to just get dragged down and bogged down. And I think you just need to maintain a good attitude and adaptable about it. And, I thankfully I get to play with like lifelong friends. And I think we've always just kind of had an attitude of like, it's just a cosmic joke and that we're all kind of in on it. Not to say that we don't take it seriously, but you need to see the humor and like the joy in it. And I think at the end of the day, we still do that. Not to say we don't get frustrated. We do with the state of things, with each other, with ourselves. But at the end of the day, if you can get it back to that reason, that core motivation, that core passion that you found as just making music together with your friends, if you can withstand all of the bullshit and get back to that and keep it at its core, then it's worth it. I don't know if that's too long-winded or makes any fucking sense, but that's my wisdom.
There's no such thing as too long-winded for this show. The brotherhood, I think that's, can't be underestimated. Like people get in bands in their 20s or 30s or whatever, and they might link up with, like-minded artists on the same path or in the same place in life, but they're still coming together as professionals first, right? Or as young adults or whatever. The fact that you guys got in it literally for the love in the garage first and then everything sprouted. That's just such a sound, firm, embryonic foundation for, a journey like this. And I just think it's remarkable. And I always love to shine a light on the fact that, this was born like a real rock and roll dream. So I just think that there's like a really admirable chemistry foundation, that is alluring and makes you like want to support and believe in the band. How about some reflections on LIMINOID? Because I think that was such a bizarre, brilliant, and unexpected hard left for everybody, Yheti included. Yeah. And I know it wasn't without its false starts and hiccups and frustrations, but both on stage and on the record, I mean, the art speaks for itself. So you could take this in any direction. Just snap reflections on the LIMINOID 1.0 experience.
When this project first came, and this first into incubation, we were talking about it on Jam Cruise a year ago, you know, and I remember playing you demos just off my phone speaker, which I'm sure sounded great with like the waves, you know, gnashing against the boat.
It was the perfect blue balls, man, because you didn't give me high fidelity, so I didn't really understand the whole like the sound design of it all, which is a big part of it, but it was just enough for me to get a chubby and be like, yo.
Yeah. Well, it was so exciting for us because it was, like you said, such a left turn. And, you know, Yheti has been one of my favorite producers for over 10 years. You know, I remember bringing him to Boston at Wonder Bar when I was, you know, doing this Drunken Doja Monkey and Friends residency and just being like, oh man, I'm bringing Yheti. Like I've been playing his tracks in my sets and putting them in mixes for years. And then we just kind of naturally became homies and had always kind of talked about playing together. And he was into lespecial and into just the fact that we were a bit different than other bands. Obviously, he's more in the electronic world, so there's not a lot of bands that resonate with him and his friends and his fans. But he thought lespecial could be that kind of connective tissue. And you know, I think that for all of us, that was the question, right? How can we bridge the gap between the electronic scene, the bass scene, the psychedelic bass scene, and the jam world and the metal world? And that's what lespecial has always been about. We enjoy bridging those gaps. It's so weird to us that there's this divide where you really, other than music festivals, where you can go see a producer and a jam band back to back and it still feels like a fluid experience. But like touring together, you just don't see it. You don't see DJs and bands tour together as much. So it was an experiment in every sense of the word. And, you know, the playing the music and writing it together was probably the most fulfilling part of it, just because it was such a unique process. And I don't need to get too into the nitty gritty. I'm sure you have plenty of other people talking about it through the course of this podcast, but just improvising and having Yheti take that music and compose, listen to it and relearning it was a really cool, interesting process. Learning your own music from a different perspective is a really cool thing that I think more musicians could benefit from doing. And then the live thing was also an experiment, and it didn't go off exactly like we thought. There's been plenty of hiccups. I mean, what Yeti's taking on in his role in the live process is pretty daunting. He's got a laptop and a fucking 1,000 wires and USBs, and we're playing MIDI synths, and he's processing all of it. He's processing drum triggers, vocal mics. And the first time we did it at the Mishawaka back in May, it did not go well. And people were like, are they just fucking with us? Like, is it this bad? But the truth was it was a daunting, big undertaking. And it was the first time doing it. And I give Yheti and the three of us as well credit for getting through it, because we almost didn't walk on stage that day. But we said we owe it to these people who paid money to be here to at least try, even if we fall flat on our faces, which we more or less did.
Tainted memories.
Send him back! Send him back! He doesn't have to be in one piece. Bring that robot person. Put your hands up! Send him back! Send the robot back!
But the tour, we started to get much tighter. The shows and performances became much more cohesive. But it's still, I don't think that it quite, I think promoters were looking at it like, oh, this is Yheti plus lespecial. This is like 1 + 1 = 4. But it was they were confused as to how to market it. Like they were like, this is like a robot, humid, hybrid band. I mean, people that listen to the music that get it, like you, were like, okay, this is, I'm not going to say it's like an advanced conceptual thing, but there's a lot of lofty ideas and super relevant ideas about AI and human emotion through a technology lens. And I think it was hard for promoters and marketing people to just like bottle that up and then make a ton of money off it. So, it was super rewarding. We got together and played Gem and Jam Festival like 2 weeks ago or less than. And again, it was tough because we flew in. We hadn't done it since the tour back in November. And the set was really fun, but it was still challenging, and there were still hiccups and issues, and that you have to figure out in real time with a lot of variables. So it was a challenge pretty much every step of the way, but super rewarding. We were super proud of that album. And now, our next show together is in Denver in March. what is it? March. I should have that right in front of me. March 27th. There we go. Denver, the Ogden. And, you know, the plan is to try and release another album before that. We're still sitting on a ton of music that we recorded, and the plan was always to release multiple albums. So I just listened to it actually yesterday. Now, like some of the newer some of them are tracks that we have been playing, some aren't, but I think it would be so cool if we can at least see this project through, have maybe 3 releases, and then see where it goes. You know, I mean, obviously, LeSpecial has a full slate of shows booked. Yheti is constantly writing and playing shows. But it is a project that we all love, and the fact that it's weird and scares people doesn't give us any less motivation to pursue it and see where it's going to go. So, you know, after the Ogden, I'm hopeful that we can maybe pick up a couple festival appearances and then just see what happens. If anybody's interested in it, like, we will always listen. But after that tour, you know, we both kind of went back to our respective, you know, main projects, and just me, like you, with a lot of other bands that I had kind of, you know, that I had to get back into that world too. So we'll see what happens, but very hopeful that we can get a new album out before that March show in Denver.
First of all, there's another great answer. Thank you so much for the reflection and kind of digging into your perspective on that. I have to say, as I wrote about it, you know, I loved the Outernet and the LIMINOID record. It just tickled my fancy on so many levels. It's funny because he put up, Yheti put up that like 8.5 minute sampler for like a day and a half.
And then it got taken off because we released the Spotify single, and it became like it was this kind of glitch on SoundCloud that it was like an uncredited track.
Wow, because
it was not intentional to take it down
for reasons I didn't know why it came down, and I don't know why I did this, but the moment it went up, I ripped it. I just grabbed it on MP3, right?
Man.
So until the album came out, I basically tortured my wife. Not that she didn't like it, but she's just like, you get in the car, you're going to the supermarket, and it's like, bam, like just like 12 personalities of, you know, like the Sybil, lespecial, Yheti, right? And it's just a lot. It's like information overload. They're all little 1 minute vignettes, right? But that's all we had for a while.
Respect my homie.
Responses, untethered notifications.
Like when something feels brand new at this day and age, when there's just been so much art and so much developed and so much at your fingertips, to just really get cracked open and on some what the fuck is a real achievement, you know? And so Act kind of had been the last artist that had done that to me.
Yeah.
And I really feel like LIMINOID exists in that, like, kicking down the frontier of what's possible space, yet still super dope. It's not so heady or abstract that you can't tap in. It really exists in that space. And I remember telling Jonny about Act way back when. And, you know, next thing you know, Jonny loves them. He's sharing it with y'all, sharing it with Yheti. 4 days ago, Act posted the remix lineup. And there's motherfucking Yheti remixing an X song in Belgium. I just felt a small measure of pride. Like,
absolutely. No, you know, you made that connection. Jonny showed us Act, and we were listening to Yheti work on that remix throughout the tour.
Wow.
So that was really cool.
I can't wait to hear that. We've had Federico on the pod. For those of you listening unfamiliar with what we're talking about, check it out. It was from March 20. I'm not sure the episode number. It's in the 80s, like 83. But Federico Pecoraro, amazing bassist. And also, just before we move on from LIMINOID, I love the creative process. And you're right, Tyler got way in the weeds telling us about it. And we're grateful for it because he was the mad scientist. But the process, the what I would call like the modus operandi, like how you guys created, is in the same lineage as two of my favorite albums of all time. The first being Beastie Boys' Check Your Head, where they just went to their studio in LA, which was like had a skateboard ramp and a basketball studio and all that, or basketball court, but they just played. They just jammed. They called out ideas. They jammed meters. They jammed minor threat, everything in between.
Yeah.
And then the Beasties and Mario C went through those tapes and just cut and pasted together the music, the beats. Like they sampled themselves. They create not Checkerhead has a few samples here and there, but not in the traditional hip hop sense, like loops and breakbeats. That's all the Beasties. You know what I mean? Just creating and then collaging together songs. Especially the funk jams that are instrumental, but even stuff like Pass the Mic and really the whole album. I mean,
I actually didn't know that, but I know like John, Beasties always I fucked with. Johnny's been more of like the Beasties head in the band. Yeah, I'm sure. But he showed me like that, album cover with all like the tape reel everywhere. So that's actually really cool. I had no idea that it was so similar to the Liminoid recording process.
And it was conceptually, you guys have the advantage of modern technology, digital, but just the idea of like,
a lot fucking harder what they were doing physically, like cutting tape reels.
Yeah, I mean, you hear the stories about the older ones when they were making the loops for License to Ill, where they just had like the John Bonham loop from Levee Breaks around the whole apartment. Just feeding it. Anyway, I'm getting off track. The other album that was created that way, my favorite album of all time, Voodoo, D'Angelo, at Electric Lady. I mean, granted, they did write songs and such, but they also, a lot of those songs just came out of them jamming, them playing. Charlie Hunter hitting something, Quest being like, that's it. That's the A part, So the collective, let's just make art and then figure it out mindset informs so many records that I love. And it seems like a stretch, but Liminoid from a conceptual space, similar. Like we're going to take these cats, they're going to make art together, and then another guy's going to come in and Ginsu chef it up into something almost unrecognizable. And then the fact that it's 12 or whatever different genres, you got, Slayer, speed thrash, to like the dubbiest dub reggae, to the wompiest space bass, to like Johnny crooning, like T-Pain on DMT, autotune. It's just so amazing. So I think Denver and the Ogden's going to be off the chain because that community is uniquely suited for this. They're a jam town. They're a bass town. They're also a town that comes out to dance.
First off, I actually didn't know that about Voodoo. That like Pino Palladino, when I first heard that album at Berkeley, it opened my mind on bass and just the simplicity of groove and all that approach. But now I feel like I want to kind of go back and listen to it in a different light of knowing that it stemmed from improv and jamming. That's super interesting to go in like with that context and listen to that,
Totally. I'm going to send you the archives where you can listen to all the outtakes and them just going, them just jamming, where you hear some of the seedlings for songs that come later.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because a good friend of ours, Will Augusta, he was in me and Rory's first ever band. He's big into Voodoo, and he was telling me about some of these other like these old outtakes that have like surfaced on YouTube and stuff like that. So I'd be super interested to hear it. And also, for Liminoid, I know that we're working on putting together a little interview process we did with CB on tour, talking in depth about all this recording process. And the plan has been to put out 3 albums. Hopefully we'll do that. We're super proud of the first one, the Outernet, and I don't know how much I'm going to leak, but since you got the inside scoop, I might as well just talk about it. The plan for the second album is called the Internet. INNER net. And so that's already in the works. And then if all goes according to plan, we'll put out a third album, Nothing But Net. And that's
love it.
That's the plan as it stands of now, February 2026.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about it because whoever is hearing this is like 2+ hours deep into this show, and they've earned the scoop.
That's what I figured. I was like, fuck it, I'm fucking a leak. We can talk about where things are at. Who knows where things are going? But if nothing happens, at least you know that there was a plan. Yeah. That dude's been grinding and making fucking weird experimental music forever. So he is a fucking vet, and it really is cool to work with such a brilliant mind like that. Well, it goes back even to what we were talking about, initially, where I was just saying, like you just need to be adaptable and just always get back to the essence of what you want to do. And a project like this kind of sums that up, right? It's ambitious, it's weird, it's lofty, and it's not going to resonate with everybody. And certain people, marketing people, are going to be like, we don't get this, and we don't know how to promote this. But at the end of the day, we still believed in this project, and you know, we're still hyped on the music, and we're proud of the music we put out, and still trying to put more music out there. So I think a part of it is that's just the nature of the beast. Don't let it drag you down. If you believe in it, keep pushing for it. You know.
Not everybody knows you guys have history. So before you talk about the gig, tell me about the olden days when you would basically be like a roadie or a tech for Break Science in the van?
I was their driver in 07 for 3 shows where it was Break Science, Pretty Lights, and then STS9, all laptop sets. Like it was their PA set thing. And like people didn't really know who Pretty Lights was yet. So it was wild. He might have even played first to 3 one of the nights. No, I think it was Break Science. Yeah, we played like Bam Margera's venue, the Note in Westchester, PA.
Note, yep.
Is that fucking Bam Margera standing out front smoking? And then we found out he owned the venue.
Yeah, apparently it's like near Castle Bam, and they were tired of him and like the 80 people at Castle Bam coming down there and raising hell. So typical Delco Bam fashion. He's like, fuck it, I'll just buy the fucking joint. And he did. Deitch had been doing Adam Deitch Project with like a 4-piece with like Jesse Murphy and some other people and Borum. And then he just decided to do the duo with Borum. And because Pretty Lights wasn't, quote, Pretty Lights yet, you know, like it wasn't like Break Science were affiliated with that Denver thing. It was still like the infancy. I remember Alex B from Numa was kind of in the mix in those days. Do you think that affected you like musically at all? Did you try to bring electronic music into the lespecial thing?
Hugely. Orem left a data disc in my car that he made, so we'd have tunes. I freaking scoured that thing. I uploaded it to my computer and like named the unnamed tracks. If there were any, it was Fluck Lotus. That's when I discovered Flying Lotus. They played Backpack Caviar, and I was just like, what is this shit? It was so brainy and like heady and synthy and like kind of nerdy, but also it like hit hard like Dilla. So yeah, hugely. Break Science was a huge influence. And that's really interesting you say that it was kind of in a time right before Lettuce was that act. And I didn't remember it that way.
Yeah, Rage came out in 08, but that period of time like was real fertile. Deitch and Kraz were living near each other in Brooklyn. Nigel had just kind of gotten down on the scene. They were doing a lot of writing, a lot of stuff in Joel Hamilton's Studio G in Brooklyn. Yeah, just like in Lettuce lore, that period of like the pre-Rage detonation was just very prolific for the Royal fam. You know, Sam Kinninger band was going hard at the time. Soul Live was still doing their thing. I think at that point Soul Live was, I think it was before Toussaint, but you know, late period Soul Live. It was just a cool time. And so I'm stoked for you guys. You guys are doing what, separate sets in Denver, and then you're gonna maybe collab a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we did at the last one as Serbs. I do a DJ set, he does a DJ set. And at the end, mostly he was playing drums.
Obviously, I love your DJ sets. I see them so infrequently. You're going to play, do you play the style that you played at the Renegade at Hula, that like hard, like jump up jungle from the 90s?
So driving home from Vermont, I listened to that whole Halloween playlist and pulled out the bangers that I would play on this Dyche hit. So interesting how different venues, different scenes, different times in your life, certain tracks are no longer appropriate, certain are. I love that selection process. And I've been going heavy the last 3 days, scouring my like bangers playlists. I've got this gnarly playlist from Yheti, top secret selects. And I'm scouring for bangers. But yes, it's a lot of heavy bass music with like Rasta MCs, which that's what lights me up, and that's what I think should be playing on a big system. So that's where I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to ask for permission or nothing. So yeah, I got some heavy bangers.
And yeah, it's crazy because like the other end of that stick with you, you're doing like real like low volume, super chill, the ambient stuff, and also like Elliott Smith covers, Billie Eilish kind of folk style. You know, you're a man of many talents. So what has been your experiences with the Jonny G project, just on the humble, putting out a few singles?
Using honestly, because it's in so many directions, I feel like I'm not doing myself any favors with the algorithm. People listen to one of my acoustic tracks and then it starts playing ambient music for them on Spotify by ambient artists. But I think the more I get out, we'll see what happens. I might call a track confusing the algorithm or call an album that. But no, it's felt really good to just be in Ableton finally kind of getting close to really having a collection of lo-fi guitar tracks, a collection of IDM breakbeat stuff, a collection of more songy type stuff, a collection of just straight kind of beats, donuts. I'm organizing them and I'm getting close and it feels great and I can't wait to share it. And you know, I'm not getting, I think 40 people listen to this Elliott Smith song I just dropped, but that's not nothing. The Billie Eilish track had like 900 plays pretty quick in like a month, so that's cool.
I didn't know that was a Billie Eilish track when I put it on it was the last song I added to my favorite songs of the year. I just liked the song. And then later, I either saw a post or you mentioned that it was a Billie Eilish song, but I was not familiar with the original.
We make it obvious that they're covers because I don't want to like take credit for other people's work. So I might call it like mostly acoustic, mostly covers. I was thinking for the album name once they're all out.
I don't know what feels true, but this feels right, so stay unsaid. Yeah, you feel right, so stay unsaid. And let me crawl inside your veins.
You wrapped up the LIMINOID experience like 1.0 for the most part. I know you're playing some festival hits and, you know, you'll come back to it. When we were talking, you were in the throes of it, you know, good and bad, talking about some of the false starts, talking about the mad science of like Yheti's modus operandi, how you finally went back to the OG plan that he had with like no amps. And so I just want to say, now that it's in the rear view mirror, what's your takeaways? Because, you know, I think the LIMINOID album is so brilliant. It's real. I got to be honest. You have to be in a certain space to listen to it. It's like so many genre personalities. It's a sensory overload. It's emotional. It's physical. It's like visceral. It's all these things. So when you just like hop in the car for 15 minutes, it's not really the right time. But snowboarding or walking around the lake or doing something like that, it's engrossing and it's like a roller coaster of emotion. So now that you've performed it live and the record's out. How did it feel to perform the music? How do you feel about, like, you know, the first chapter of the project? Good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to share.
Great. It felt great. It took weight off my shoulders in so many ways, the way we're doing things. Finally joining this century and like letting Ableton change my effects rather than pedal dancing, which I'll always tap dance for the rest of my life. I love that too. But this approach was really refreshing and stable in a way that I really enjoyed. It was a lot less. Well, special shows are like a lot of anxiety for me, to be honest. Like there's a lot of shit hinging on my tap dancing or whatever it is. And it felt great. It also felt great to use these sound sets that Yheti built for each song. They're mixed, they're full sounding, they're cool patches, synth patches, guitar patches, whatever it is. And we can use those nicely mixed templates to create from there. So that's really exciting. I mean, we did some improv, but to know that now we can like do more recording with all these things that he tweaked and fine-tuned. It's been such a great process, and I'm really having a blast with it. I can't wait to do more.
So, because you guys are kind of I've written that. You're idiosyncratic to begin with. The special, you do like Yheti or like deep, gnarly bass, you know, kind of womp. And then you can like, you know, competently do Slayer. And you have, and everything in between, stuff that leans Radiohead, stuff that leans Primus, all these influences, right? The LIMINOID is like, truly, it sounds trite, but it's like a unicorn. There's nothing like it. I said it was like the most exciting music to have my ears since Act, and I meant it. And so that's a lot for an audience to grok in the earphones. But did the audiences dance? What was the physiological reaction to that music in the live setting?
They sure did dance. Meaning always got everyone bumping. Raining Oil got most people thrashing. Static in My Veins is pretty captivating. Maybe like Ghost in the Human, the dubstep track. I'm always really feeling that one. But I don't know if like there's always like a huge reaction to it. But no, crowds were engrossed and loud and crowd surfing robots.
Send it back! Send it back!
And I also really was like wondering if there was a crossover with the Yheti audience, like meaning, was it a lespecial show with some Yheti fans? Was it 50-50? How did you perceive the like body politic of the LIMINOID tour?
There's already like a little bit of overlap between the bass scene and lespecial, and this I think strengthened it, which is great because we want to do that. We want to keep a foot in the sort of rave warehouse whatever world, sound system culture. But no, it's definitely like two separate fan bases kind of coming together and meeting each other on some level. So that was cool to see. I think people were honestly a little confused. Like we thought, oh, we were here last year. We sold this venue out. So if we go here with Yheti, we're going to like sell it out again. And like ticket sales weren't like 2 + 2 = 4. It was like, I guess, I don't know if people didn't know that they were getting a special set and a Yheti set and the LIMINOID set. I think now that people know how it functions, it should blow up because, like you said, it's all over the place genre wise. That was our approach, was like, Yheti was like, we're going to just improvise in all these different genres. And he wrote them on big cards and we would like go through them. Okay, now it's acid jazz for 10 minutes. Now let's try to make a funk track for 5 minutes. Tomorrow night we drink lemon tech and just play with synths for 45 minutes. And so that's why it's cool to hear that you hear that almost compartmentalization, like of different styles.
It's called Uncanny Combo. Make some noise for Yheti on the synths.
Weird. That is incorrect. Try it again.
Because now that you're like coming back to the core lespecial thing between like Rory's Primus Mania, which was also, Rory told that story on the Jam Cruise interview as well. So you're so far beyond that now, and then you did the Liminoid thing, and you've released solo stuff, and you know your bandmates have done other bands like regularly, you know, and now you're kind of like the core trio coming back together, getting in the van, going west. So first of all, what's in the name? What's with the tentacles thing? Is that just like a Luke pun, or does it have some sort of deeper meaning?
I think I might have said that one when we were brainstorming about like, because Omni Squid, our album, and the art is sort of a play on the album cover for that our homie Feather made, which is like a UFO beaming down on a giant squid coming out of the ocean.
It was a big cult Omni Squid fan base inside your fan base. It was before my time.
Okay. Yeah. I remember you saying it sounded more jammy to you. I think it's because you probably heard the song Sugar Boy. Because a lot of the songs are actually more like mathy prog rock.
Yeah, which is cool, you know. There's a place for that stuff. I'm just saying, when you introduced me to your band, it was Ancient Homies, and that was like some of the best music I ever heard. And, you know, that comparatively speaking, when I try to tap into the older stuff, I don't know. I think that's what, like with any band, you love what you heard first.
Totally.
But I was just curious what the Tentacles thing was about. And also, you know, we kind of jumped over it, but you're celebrating 20 years, right? This is like representing 2 decades. People don't think of you as a band that's been around, just like they don't realize Lettuce has been around since 92, as far as like when they started playing together. You guys, people say, oh yeah, their new band was special. I even said that for a while. And you realize, you know, not a new band, just new to us. New to me in 2020, you know, new to people in Jam Cruise a couple of years ago, but y'all have been at it since 2006. So 20 years and coming out west. First of all, what was the 20th anniversary show like? I heard it was like a little chaotic. There was some sort of mea culpa afterwards. What happened?
There were technical difficulties, and maybe we manifested it. First song, we come out. We're in the beautiful Infinity Hall. We had sound checked. Everything was good, sounding great. We go out first song. I'm like, what is that smell? And I turn to my tech, and I'm like, something's melting. Smelled like burning subwoofer, which we used to smell a lot when we used to bring the synths out and play on these little PAs back in the day, and they would start melting. So I figured it was just like a speaker was getting overdriven. Second song, there's a really loud pop, and all the power goes off on the entire stage. So Rory's just up there soloing until he like realizes, okay, this is going to take longer. I'm going to exhaust myself. I'm going to stop. And it took about 30 minutes. Fire department had to come. They had to find the melting cable in the venue, replace it or reroute it or something. So we're backstage just, oh my God, the anxiety. It took a year off our lives. So it's funny because now we're going out on tour as the technical difficulties. So it's perfect. Hopefully people will get a laugh. I think when we get like that, we play our darndest. And I think people were saying, you know, we threw down. So.
You always throw down, but yeah, that's got to be frustrating, especially on a big night, New Year's Eve, 20th anniversary. But a testament to you guys, you know, like toughing it out, not letting it, you know, show must go on type shit, right?
Yeah.
And same thing what happened when you were out here and almost missed that show. I'll put the link in the show notes of the story of the 10-hour blizzard trek.
On the pod, did you tell like the whole story about how we went the wrong way?
No, I'm saying I'll drop a link. I wrote that story. I wrote an article where I did mention that, you know, gently, but it made for a good story. You know, I got to be honest, and I promised Tyler I would say so. I know you're not your agent, but skipping the Crazy Horse after that, I don't know. I think you would sell it out again because it was such a legendary night. And also they went above and beyond and were in the club till like 4:30 in the morning because of the show being backed up. Like everybody who's at that show always will say, you know, I remember that shit, you know, it's kind of a legendary night. So I'm not expressing this at you personally. I know you're not your agent. What I'm saying is I was disappointed that where there wasn't going to be a fucking Crazy Horse 2.0.
I am too. I want to go back there.
I think the West Coast is uniquely positioned to appreciate what you do because of the festival scene out here and the sort of just the multicultural music scene where everybody kind of embraces all the things, and a lot of the stuff that you and I both love that we talk about all the time, from Tipper to drum and bass to like thrash metal, palm muted 1986 Hesher shit. It's all alive and well out here. And I think that you guys are just really resonate. So hopefully you'll find full rooms and get some wind in your sails, not to come every 3 years, but to come every year. Come do 12 dates out here every year, and you'll build yourself a nice little thing.
Well, yeah, for New Year's, we like learned a bunch of old tunes, maybe 9 to 12. We dusted off.
For the anniversary?
Yeah, we did the first song we ever wrote, Circus. We did like the second song we ever wrote, Nina. It's like a bossa nova thing.
You guys want to hear another really old song? I mean, I don't know. I mean, fuck it. This is a song that probably only 2 people in here have ever heard. We used to play this at Bohemian Pizza, shout out. Until they kicked us out. Oh, 3 people? No, okay. They kicked us out for stealing beer when you were underage. No, we don't have to talk about it. But we're almost 21 as a band. This is a song called Nina. It's a love song, I think. I don't know.
And so I want to keep playing those things, so we keep them like greased so they don't just kind of fall off. It's easy for a song to kind of not get picked in the set list if we haven't done it in a while. We're like, it's not our best. New song Recidivism is like a heavy.
I think I heard Recidivism and Disassociate, both. Those were the 2 newest cuts I heard live. Both great.
That's funny. Yeah, so we changed Disassociate to Dissociate to try to make it easier to pronounce, and now I think people are even more confused. It'll be also funny to hear the Jam Cruise discussion. I think we discussed the name of it on your Jam Cruise, so that'll be good. But now it's Dissociate. Yeah, that's another new heavy one with that Phrygian dominant scale we love to use. We got a new one called Shadow People. Very Nine Inch Nails inspired. We play to like a sequencer track I made in Ableton. It's pretty dark and brooding and plotting, and sing about the genocide in Gaza. And it's dark, but people need to hear it.
Have you experienced, from a band perspective, like, have you had negative impact on, being, on the righteous and right side of history in that regard, and, ruffling some feathers? Has that had any impact on you from a professional musical, if you're comfortable saying so?
Yeah, one of our light designers was forcefully told to remove text up on the screen at a big festival we do. I guess I won't say the name. He was just putting up statistics about like how many journalists have been killed and things like that, and was very forcefully yelled at to remove it. I don't know if they were threatening like pull the plug. I've been told not to do a Free Palestine chant, or urged not to do a Free Palestine chant in like a hip hop track. We had a guest MC, and that's fucking frustrating. Why are we afraid to like speak up for those that are suffering?
Everyone talks about protest music, and like the spirit of the 60s, and looks wistfully back at Rage Against the Machine, who I love and you love, whatever. But like, it's really unfortunate because whether I agree or disagree with somebody's political statement musically, like I support their right to have it. All right, man. I did one of these 4-part year-long, started with you on the boat, the LIMINOID thing, and here we are a year later. A year in the life of lespecial. It's crazy. I want to say thanks for all the time you've given me over the past year, both on the mic and off. I'm grateful for our friendship. I love your band. I love you. And I just admire how you move through music and life. So thanks, Jonny G.
Love you too, man. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Yes, indeedy. Next up, we've got my man, Bret Peretz, tour manager of Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, and an old friend from Spirit of Swanee Music Park, and down there in ATL when he's not on the road. And we did this conversation 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago, but he's tight with the lespecial cats. They have a personal and business relationship that goes way back, and even though they don't work together anymore, Bret's very fond of lespecial. He knew I was doing a pod with lespecial and waiting for Yheti, and ended up taking months and months and months, but he wanted to roll with the homies. So I held on to this great little chat I had with Bret Peretz in the middle of the summer, end of the summer, where we talk about, his journey from humble beginnings to a tour managing band that's out there doing the thing and doing it big and doing it well and on their own terms. And Bret is a really just good dude and also uber competent at any role, tour manager, hospitality, box office, all these different jobs and roles I've seen him not just succeed but thrive in, and always moving on and moving up. So, without any further ado, let's hear from my man, Bret Peretz, down in ATL. Tour manager, Pigeons Playing Ping Pong. This is their song called Horizon from the Cap last year. All right. Well, this is another one we've been talking about doing for a long time. I'm sitting here cross country with my man, Bret Peretz.
out there in Atlanta, GA. Currently the tour manager for Pigeons Playing Ping Pong. He's been in that role for several years, but he's had a long, winding, strange, interesting trip into the music biz and has worn a lot of hats and has learned a lot of lessons. And I really feel like his lived experience from an industry and personal perspective is of interest to listeners, people that are into the music scene, people who want to know how the cake gets baked, if you will, and also who's responsible for taking care of these people that entertain us, who's responsible for getting them from place to place and making sure what they have, what they need, to making sure they're in their best selves, they're healthy, happy, and all that kind of falls on one role, and that's tour manager. So we've got Bret here to talk about all those things and a whole lot more. Somebody I know and love from Spirit of Swanee Music Park. Welcome, Bret Peretz.
Hey, B, thanks for having me, man. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I know we've been talking about it for a long time now, so it's great to finally knock it out.
Agreed. I'm glad to catch you on some downtime, which is not the norm for you guys. Your band tours like a motherfucker, and you're always on the go. However, you have had a little bit of time this summer to take a deep breath, to sink into home, to spend time with your partner. Talk a little bit about life right now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we've been off the road for about 3.5 weeks now. We're not back out till the last weekend of this month. So that's the longest break I've had since some point last year. I couldn't even tell you when. We were going really heavy from February until mid-June there, starting with Jam Cruise. And then a whole 3-week tour. So it's been great getting the house together, just spending time at home. Going to go out to Railroad Earth, Yonder, and Daniel Donato tomorrow. First time I'll go to a show in like 3.5 weeks, so I'm stoked on that. Yeah, and then we just adopted a new puppy like about 2 months ago.
Oh, right on. Congratulations. What's the doggo's name?
The dog's name is Remy. She's a rescue, just like the other two. And yeah, it's been great having her around.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. And yeah, just kind of wanted to ask a little bit about, you said that this is the first time you've had an extended break for over a year or since last year. How many dates do you guys typically, in your experience in the few years you've been on board, what's like the annual tally on shows played?
So we're somewhere around like 65 to 70 number. You know, they used to do 150, 170 shows a year, but you know, they have 6 kids between them now and really value their home time. We'll do a 3-week tour in March, and we generally do a 3-week tour in November. Other than that, it's like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 10-day runs, a little 5-day run like we did with Dusters and Melt. And then it's a lot of weekend warrior type stuff. You know, we'll drive up to Hartford on a Wednesday and then do Thursday, Friday, Saturday there. So I really like the touring schedule they do. You know, they value their family time, and I love being home. You know, it's one of those, when I'm home, I'm happy to be home. When I'm on the road, I'm happy to be on the road. You know, I'm not missing the other one really, because we get enough breaks and we're in and out. You know, it's busy and there's a lot of travel, a lot of flying, but yeah, it's a lot of other bands have it a lot harder.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that sounds like a kind of a happy medium. We've talked on this pod many times about the touring business model in a post-pandemic economic climate. I especially talked with like Sector 9 and Lettuce about this, but it applies, as you just brought up, that, you know, the days of months-long touring just economically don't make as much sense, both for fans and for bands, and the sort of quick runs, fly-in, fly-outs, taking over a city or a region or a state for a long weekend seems to be more and more prevalent, more and more like possible and successful. But it takes a band's got to get to a certain level to be able to achieve that. You can't jump in there. You really have to build that over years and years. So again, as I said at the top, the story of Bret Peretz and also Pigeons is a really exemplary, like, how would I say? It's like an example of what can be done, like how you can start humble beginnings, grind hard, and then get to a level where then you can call your own shots or be, in your case, in a comfortable position. Because I'm sure when you signed up for this gig, you didn't really think 60 to 70 shows was going to be the schedule. You grew into that, and you personally grew into that. So can you talk a little bit about like the evolution of the band, like success wise and opportunity wise, from like when you started to where you're at now?
Yeah, so it's been about a little over 3 years. I joined, and had my trial run in February and then came on for the 3-week tour in March. I guess that was 2022. And I mean, we were in our young to mid 30s at that point. Now we're in our mid to late 30s, have a lot more kids in the band. And honestly, I remember, the first Dome Fest we had, I was in one of the cabin rooms with Jeremy and Greg, after I think the first night, maybe the second, and we're just talking. And, Greg has been open about his sober journey. Ben's been sober now for a while. No one drinks or does anything before the show's done, and it's gotten so much tighter and everyone is just so focused. The crew that I have around me is some of the best in the game. They support everyone so much, whereas it seemed like the days were crazy and I had to be in a million different places, which is still true, but I have a lot more time to actually help out jumping on stage, setting up some pedal boards and that type of stuff. Whereas before it was, I'm in my office, I'm on phone calls, I'm running here to talk to this person, I'm running here to talk to that person. And it's just gotten so much more streamlined. And the band specifically knows the opportunity they have right now. And it hasn't been, they're not getting the meteoric jumps and playing MSG after playing, Arden's Garden a couple weeks before. But it's been a steady climb. They're constantly pumping out new music. They've been in the studio a bunch in the last 3 years, without breaking anything. They're still recording. So they're debuting new songs constantly. They're always looking for new covers, current covers that are, relevant in the pop scene. It's a great group to be around. They take it seriously. It's fun, but everyone wants to talk about like the green room parties. Our last show was All Good Now. The green room party was 5 kids running around. Our merch person, Ada, blowing bubbles and getting back into her old nanny role, and it was really sweet on Father's Day too. That's the vibe that they give out, and it's really fun to be around. And the music is just growing and growing. They're dropping some darker songs. It's a more well-rounded palette compared to, back in the day where it was just a lot of happy, and I know you have your own personal thoughts on those songs and whatnot. So it's a more well-rounded show, and things are just going really good.
Well, I like to hear all the positivity, man. And I sure like to hear about all the fatherhood and the sort of familial vibe around the band, Yeah, I mean, I'm typically hard on jam bands, but one thing line in the sand I always like to say is like when a band has really like worked hard and earned something and built it from the ground up, whether that's the Biscuits or Pigeons, doesn't matter whether I love the tunes or not. I've been around long enough to just respect the grind and the journey and the way they carry it. And I think that those guys check all those boxes, and my objective opinion about music, or subjective, I should say, both really, objective and subjective, doesn't really matter because the proof is in the pudding. What they're accomplishing, how it's affecting their lives, how they're growing as people. You mentioned sobriety, you mentioned parenthood. Like when a band is struggling or, not finding their feet, like the rest of their life suffers as well. So I think it speaks to your role. Not that you can take credit for people's personal lives, but your job is to keep things together, to value the well-being and the function and the general like energy of not just the people on stage, but your team, the people that support the band. So just for people to better understand, because people hear tour manager, it's like, oh yeah, booking flights, phone calls, office work. It's like, it's so much more than that. I've had the privilege of having a number of friends who are tour managers or have been, and just seeing how it affects their lives or how they do their jobs. It's interesting. So what's a typical day on tour for Bret Peretz? Give me like a typical couple days, because I know it's not usually just the 24. You might be in the city for 2 or 3 nights. So yeah, just inside the daily life.
So on the tour, where we're doing a different city every night, maybe we'll have a couple, maybe 2-night runs snuck in there. Generally, we're loading in anytime between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. most days. Like the 3 band bills we did, like Frasco and Dogs last year, Dusters and Melt this year. There's a lot of time before doors can open, things need to get done. So we generally start around then, and we're loading out sometime between 11:30 midnight on the early end, 1 to 2 on the late end, so they're pretty long days, but we get there, we have a 3-hour build process, load and build. It was 4 hours when I started. Our front of house and production manager Dylan Hens has really stepped up just the whole team's game, and we cut an hour out of the build, which saves immensely on costs and the human hours. We're tired, that extra hour counts. So yeah, 3 hours to load in and build. Then we generally do a 2-hour sound check. With the 3-band bills, it was closer to an hour 15, hour and a half. But most days is a 2-hour sound check, and then support will have an hour to sound check. While that's happening, we're doing our VIP program, either meet and greet. We did the acoustic jams on this last tour. I'm not sure quite what's in store for the next, shows venue shows we're doing, because we have a lot of festival stuff. So obviously no VIP there, but that used to be an hour of my day that I got a break, which is now all VIP, but it's cool. The meet and greets, especially, it reminds the band guys why they're doing it. And we get to hear some cool stories. I've helped, get 2 engagements done during the meet and greet. They both said yes, that was good. So yeah, then from there, we get 30 to 60 minutes before support starts. They'll play for an hour. We got a 30-minute changeover, and then we bang out 2 75-minute sets, or 1 2-hour set, and generally an encore. Then about hour, 90 minutes to load out, get on the bus, and head to the next city.
Yeah, that sounds like a hell of a day. And during the day, obviously you're getting pinged throughout for this or that. And but kind of stops with you, right? You're the final word on the road as far as these kind of day-to-day matters at hand. Is there pressure in that regard, or is it not really the kind of thing that gets on you? I'm wondering if it's a chaotic, frantic kind of existence, or pretty chill and your phone rings every now and again.
It definitely used to be like that. I was not as good at my job now as back when I started as I am now. I'm constantly learning, especially on the tech side, because I didn't come from a tech background. I came from the booking and management tech side, the artist hospitality side. So getting really on stage and putting, pedal boards together, loading gear, that type of stuff, I didn't really do much of until getting on with these guys. So that's been really neat to learn that side of things. As far as like decisions go and crises and, fires that pop up, we rarely have like franticness happen. Everyone's generally on the same page as far as how we need to operate, things we need to do. And when, let's say the distro blows, like I think it was Fort Collins 2 years ago, first show of the tour, they plugged the distro in for the lights and bam, blows up. So, we had to scramble last minute to get one driven down from Denver, and, it's those types of things. But everyone just keeps a cool head. All right, who do we know? Who can we reach out to? And you just go from there. Other than that, it's just, day management, making sure the hospitality stuff is in there. We get our full rider at the start of a tour and then bring everything out at the end of the night, just do little top ups. So we're not spending a bunch of money every night. So bringing that stuff in. If we don't have catering, getting a dinner order together. We constantly have, reporters, fans and friends, people bringing things, different, rig rundown videos, that type of stuff. So those people, I'm always their main contact, dropping something off for the band, whatever. So I'll run out, meet them for that type of stuff. And then a lot of on show day and during tours, social media, on doing the band's Instagram stories, which, it's up there for 24 hours. It seems like it's not a big deal, but people really care about it. And it is a huge part of my day, especially during the show, trying to get those videos up during the show. So people not there, when we're not streaming can see it.
And lastly, how many people are traveling, not internationally, but how many people are on the Pigeons crew, band, staff, yourself?
So generally, on a tour, we'll have 10 total, the 4 band members, the 4 permanent crew, which is myself, Dylan, our production manager, Manny, our LD, who's been with them for 10, 12 years. He's an absolute Jedi. I've already spoken to how incredible Dylan is. And our monitor guy, Adam, who's come on with us recently, and he's just crushing it. So we have those 4 in addition to the band, and then we have a photographer, and then our full-time merch person, Ada, who is a Philly girl, Philly biker chick that you would love. She started out, her first gig was selling merch for Guar, like 20 years ago.
Oh, I love that.
She is a badass and, is the mom of the group, but the absolutely obscene, ridiculous mom who might throw a shoe at you.
Every band needs one of those.
Yes. So and we use the same, probably 3 to 4 photographers based on where we're at. We use Dave DiCrescente a lot, who, is with Mahali. And then, when we're playing with bands like Goose, their guy, Adam Berta, we'll use him for the day since he's already there. But yeah, it's a lot of repeat, same crew, we're family at this point. So it's nice to see those same faces and not changing people out every time you're in a vehicle, on some of the bigger tours, like the Frasco one, or some bigger shows like Dome Fest, New Year's Eve, that type of stuff. We have this young cat, Wills Nash. He's like 25, and this kid's gonna probably go further than any of us in this field. He is just down to earth, totally crushes his job, and any chance we get to bring him out, we brought him on Jam Cruise actually too. It's always nice having that extra set of hands and someone who, being so young, is already so knowledgeable and just does it right. It's pretty cool.
Right on. Well, shout out to that whole crew, and I hope that they get a chance to hear you sing their praises. They're doing the damn thing. But you haven't always been with Pigeons. So
no, I have not.
I met you when you were working at Swanee in a variety of capacities, hospitality, box office. I often in the early days get you confused with Andrew Kuntz before I got to know both of you better.
Me, Kuntz, and Andy Reese, man. I've been with skaters. They're the two all over this country.
I bet. And it's just like the Venn diagram of your roles are just close enough that it's possible. It's not like, but then over time I got to know you a bit. And then I remember you working with bands like Displace, Space Cadet. You were a manager, like not a tour manager, but management manager. You've been in booking and agency. So you've worn a lot of hats before you wore all the hats of a tour manager. So take me back to the beginning. What was the initial, I'm getting into the music business? Was it a moment? Was it an opportunity? What was the initial hook?
So I had already graduated college, and I was working at a Fairfield Marriott hotel, and I was waiting to go to officer school for the Coast Guard. And my roommates, Tucker Sodi, original drummer for Displace, is with the band Dejava now. Brian Doss dragged me to Aura Music Festival in St. Cloud, Florida, my first festival. And it was amazing, as your first festival should be. And I got home and I was like, damn, I just got promoted. Like, this is really cool. Do I really want to join the Coast Guard, or do I want to just keep going to music and doing shows and seeing where the hotel career goes? So I stayed, and then, we would go to Uncle John's band at Skipper's every Thursday. We called it church, the local Grateful Dead tribute. There's one of the best out there, a couple of years, after graduating, we'd be there every Thursday. And, one Thursday, this guy, Jerry Chambers, asked, our guitarist, Sam Dobkin, he's like, hey, I don't have, a band, the after party canceled. Can you get something together? So, we had a drum set in our kitchen at that point. We'd been playing, just jamming out. Not me personally, I don't play anything. But they were. So they threw the band together. This is before Scamato was around. But the original guys, and afterwards they were like, yo, that was fun. We should do that again. So we're living together. They're doing their band thing. We're going to shows, and we went down to a festival in Boca called Be Easy Festival. It was a benefit for someone who'd passed, from addiction, helping raise money for that cause. And I rode down with the guys, and I got, it's the first time getting one of the backstage creds. And I was like, hey, if anyone asks, I'm your manager, because I was 22, 23. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was like, I don't want to get kicked out of backstage, and Chris, it's like, well, do you want to be? And I was like, well, shit, let's talk next week. So we sat down, we talked, and I became their manager, their agent, their tour manager. I didn't take any pay from them for like the first year. You know, I was working at the hotel. We were doing the weekend warrior stuff, getting around the state. And then I put together like 2.5, 3-week tour, just around the Southeast, you know, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, that a lot of Florida dates. And I talked to the hotel and I was like, hey, I got to take this 3 weeks off. Like I have the PTO, but I'll take it unpaid. But I got to do this. And they're like, we can't approve that. I was like, all right, well then consider this my 4 months notice or my 4 weeks notice. You know, we had that type of relationship with myself and the other managers there. So, you know, 4 weeks came, and the week before I was leaving the hotel, my friend Samantha called me. We'd met through the scene. She was good friends with Andy Lytle, who's Billy String's sound guy now, you know, and there was a lot of connection between the Tampa and Orlando scenes. But she was working something with CID. I can't even remember. It was a country artist. I have the poster around here somewhere, but she calls me and she's like, hey, can you get down to the fairgrounds? We had someone not show. We need help with the VIP program. And I was like, yeah, let me finish my reports. I'll run home, change, and I'll be there. So I went down, I worked the show, and it was just super fortuitous because out of that, I got connected with their internal hiring people with CID, and I got to work Lock and Music Festival. And then from Lock and Music Festival, I got to work ACL. And then the next 2 years, I was, you know, booking, managing, Displace, working festivals when I could fit it in. We weren't on the road. And then just growing my network. And then I got to the point where I wasn't really meeting people in the Tampa area or really around Florida, and I wanted to keep growing the network. So, you know, like everyone did in Florida between 2015 and 2020, moved to Colorado, you know? And I was in Denver for about 5 months. I was on the East Coast for like 3 of those months working festivals and doing that. And at this point I had added a couple other bands. I was working with Voodoo Visionary, been doing some booking for Funk U. I got linked up with a couple of other agents, and I would do their bands like Adam Payne, some of their like Southeast bookings, you know, with Fletcher's Grove and Southern Bells. So I would do their Southeast booking, and they would do, you know, in their regions bookings for my bands, you know. So it was kind of like working with an agency, but all with our own organizations and just growing it from that. And from that, I got introduced to a guy, Tom Baggett, who was working, who had Hoplite agency, which, you know, if you were going to festivals 20, you know, that time frame, they had everyone, you know. Turquoise, like shit, I can't even tell you, they had everyone that was that mid-major before they made a bigger jump, you know. And Tom took a lot of pride in cultivating that part of the scene, so he was someone who was really good to learn from. And in that time, I got the owner of Aisle 5 was the manager for Funk U. You know, we got friendly with me doing some of their booking, and he'd offered me a job at Aisle 5. So I was like, shit, man, I'm out here in Denver. All my family's on the East Coast. My grandparents are getting older. I've been on the East Coast half the time I've lived here. I should take this job in Atlanta, and I should move there. Which is kind of like moving home, because I was born here, but my parents moved back down to Florida before I was like a year old. So I didn't really have any roots here other than being born here, but it's definitely home again and home now.
That's an awesome journey, man. I really appreciate you taking it all the way back to the core and kind of giving us the blow by blow and ticking off some of your earliest collaborators. And of course, Tom Baggett giving you a shot and kind of taking you under his wing. That's a good guy to know. Shout out to Tom. So tip of the cap to you, Bret, because I've watched this journey. I remember rolling up on you in the box office at Swanee all the way till now. I'm proud of you. And I really think that, you know, whatever's next, it's going to be amazing because of the work you've already done.
Well, thanks, man. It's always nice to hear that, especially from you, because you know what it takes here. So I appreciate that.
But in the meantime, man, I wish you the best. Enjoy it, and then safe travels and grand adventures.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks again for having me, man. This was a lot of fun.
indeedy. Thank you, Bret Peretz, tour manager, Pigeons Playing Ping Pong. Thank you to the boys in lespecial, Rory, Luke, Jonny G, Tyler, Yheti, LIMINOID. Big things in the future for the lespecial boys, and thanks to everybody who hung out, hung on, dug in, tapped in, wrote it out. Episode 9-6 in the mix, coming to a close. A deep bow of gratitude to everybody who tunes in and supports. Please continue to do so. Tell a friend, rate and review. Y'all know what it is. You're hearing JoJo Mayer's Nerve. Back in June of 2007, this video on YouTube literally changed my life. And Jonny G and I talked about JoJo Mayer often. We're both big proponents of that sorcerer. And with that, like we always do about this time, the Vibe Junkie Jams, of course, a little special, something close to my heart when they played arguably my favorite song of theirs, Boundary Dissolution, from their magnificent 2020 album, Ancient Homies. It was at Halloween, and they were playing late night on the Spirit Lake stage. And yeah, I asked them would they please play this song, and wrote them a nice letter why I really wanted to hear it. It's something I guess they seldom play. I haven't heard of them playing it since. They played it very infrequently before that. Super sacred and emotional thing for your boy. That right there, Boundary Dissolution from Halloween. I want to say 2023? 2023. Again, JoJo Mayer's Nerve on the A38 ship in 2007. And that'll do it for episode 96. Give thanks. Much love. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you next time. Yes, indeedy.
If you look at thousands of these experiences, they dissolve boundaries. They dissolve boundaries between you and your past, you and the part of your unconscious you don't want to look at.
That I can feel again and see.
Well, I won't know. Don't make me go back inside. Someone tell me where the door takes you in. I'll be here till the only time in. When your eyes are closed, you don't feel like you could. This awaits you if you stray into the woods. All the boundaries that we put up to keep ourselves from feeling our circumstance are dissolved. And boundaries dissolution is the most threatening activity that can go on in a society.
Thanks, y'all. This is a song we haven't played in a few years. Boundary Dissolution. Shout out B-Gets. It's a track off our Ancient Homies record. I feel like just after tonight, we've all become ancient homies. Do you guys feel the same? It's a pretty special feeling. It's fucking awesome.